It's communication with him. It's communication with our staff on the ground who are working with him. How's his training? Where's his head at? Where do we think this is going? And that plays a role too into if you ratchet up the degree of difficulty at this level, how do we think he's going to handle it? How do we think he's going to stay consistent with his routine? So all that plays into it. It's an ongoing assessment, but it's definitely going in the right direction.
That was Chaim Bloom a couple of weeks ago joining us here on BK and Ferrario, giving his assessment of Nolan Gorman, where he was at the time, what it's going to take for him to get another opportunity here at the major league level. Asked and answered. It sounds like that time is right now, Alex.
Woo!
According to the Belleville News Democrat Jeff Jones on Twitter this morning, the Cardinals are expected to call up Nolan Gorman ahead of tonight's series opener, against the Orioles. According to Jeff Jones, Mason Wynn expected to be placed on the injured list as the corresponding move. You want to start with the Gorman side of this or the Wynn side of this, Alex?
I always like to start positive, so let's start with Wynn's side of it. Did you see what I did there? I'm not excited about Gorman being back.
You're excited about Mason Wynn, one of the best defenders in Major League Baseball,
I think
going
it's
on the
good
injured
for him
list.
to get rest. So, yes.
Okay.
I'm excited about the fact that we get to see J.J. Weatherholt play shortstop.
I'm not. I don't think that's going to go particularly well.
Okay,
I think
cool.
we saw over the weekend that J.J. is not a shortstop.
Look, I didn't know that me being off one day turned you into a little grumpy gills. Huh?
You know how I am with J.J.
That's true.
I can't allow people to have a good thing. I've got to be the one that tells you this isn't quite as good as you think it is.
Look, Mama Bird, let the baby bird jump out of the nest and try and fly every once in a while.
This sucks. I hate that we're not going to be able to see Mason Wynn for the next couple of weeks, potentially. Yep. And if he's going on the injured list, it tells you they saw something. Now, it's hard to speculate as to what exactly this is. Maybe they just viewed it as, hey, we can't play down a man for another 2 days. We've got to have somebody else that can at least help our bench, if nothing else. And they've been playing down for 3 days now. You can't continue to do that in another series if you're the Cardinals. I get that. But also, if it came back and everything was totally fine, my guess is Mason Wynn would have talked his way back into the lineup. He's done that before. I would assume they would do it again. This sucks because he's having a down season offensively, but finally he was starting to hit the ball better. And defensively, he's been outstanding over the last month for the Cardinals. He's been a big reason why they've been able to stay in the playoff mix since the trade deadline. So this sucks in that scenario. And also, this is a big part of your foundation. This is a big part of your identity as a team, is that you make every play in the middle of the infield. And now that's gone. JJ's not as good defensively, even if you think he's better than I do. He's not as good defensively. He's nowhere close to as good defensively at shortstop as Mason Wynn is. Your second baseman will not be as good defensively as JJ is. And now your third baseman, whoever that may be, possibly Nolan Gorman, as we'll get into here momentarily, they're going to have more put on their plate than they would have if Mason Wynn was at shortstop. So your team overall, your pitching gets worse, and it was already not exactly in a good spot, and your defense is going to be in a little bit of trouble over at least the next 10 days or so.
You're right on everything that you just said, which I know you don't hear very often, but you're right on everything that you just said. But let me play the other side of it for a minute. You're out of it. I don't know what you guys talked about yesterday. Maybe BK still had the hopes and dreams of the Cardinals being in this still.
He's out, man.
You're out of it. You're done.
Correct.
I'm not worried about having somebody that covers second base and third base like Mason Wynn does right now. Right now, I'm in evaluation mode. Right now, I'm in, let's see what you got. And putting Nolan Gorman back at third base, look, I'm not excited about it. I'm done with the Nolan Gorman experiment, but I said it once we talked to Chaim Bloom, and I'll say it again. I'm at least intrigued by the possibility of you worked with the guy in the minor leagues, and maybe you found something and you could turn him into a reclamation project. I'll give it a shot because, frankly, I saw Blaze Jordan make a lot of mistakes at third base. I have no interest in Ramon Urias right now at the major league level. So let's see what you got. And guess what? You don't have that safety blanket at shortstop now. That's Mason Wynn. Now you got to go out there and play your ass off to make those plays at third base if you want to still be a major leaguer for the Cardinals. You're right. Second base is not going to be as good as what it was with J.J. Weatherholt. But I'm at least curious of what you play there. Now, I don't really care about Ramon Urias there. I frankly just put Thomas DeJacy there so you could find out what that is. Like,
he's not here.
Well, I know, but they should have called that guy up instead of watching Ramon Urias. But regardless, let's see what Weatherholt's at shortstop. It's not going to be as good as what Mason Wynn is. But you've got J.J. Weatherholt on your roster. You locked him up long term. This is the opportunity where you find out, hey, can the guy play shortstop for us? Does Mason Wynn become an asset? Can we go out there and find pieces for our roster? So I'm done with the whole, like, we've got to make sure everything is perfect for our pitchers. No, you're in evaluation mode now. You're out of it. You got swept by the Phillies. It was ugly. Now go out there and see what you've got if you want to be a part of this Cardinals roster next year.
Yeah, I get that sentiment of it. I think the Wynn injury sucks because I think he's kind of just locked himself in as a part of the core moving forward because of how valuable his defense is. I don't think JJ can do anything to play his way at shortstop to make Mason Wynn an asset, but it does at least open up an opportunity for them to see what they've got in Nolan Gorman and see if they were able to unlock something in the minor leagues. I'm very skeptical of that. I think he's still going to be the same guy that we've seen, but at least this is the one positive, if you want to look at it from that way, from the Wynn injury, is it gives them a chance to pull Nolan Gorman up from the minor leagues and potentially play him every day for however long Mason Wynn is out. If it's just kind of a, hey, he's out for another week, all right, 7 days for Nolan Gorman to start, see what he looks like, and then you can kind of reassess from there.
I think calling Nolan Gorman up makes all the sense in the world.
I can't believe I agree with you on that because I hate the idea of it. I think you're right.
Why not? Because you need to see Blaze Jordan and what? Find out if he can be a utility guy for you next year? I've got your answer. He's going to be.
Yeah, I saw the errors that he committed.
And, like, I'm not going to learn anything new over the next month. He's not my answer at third base. He's not. And his role next year is probably as a right-handed bench bat for you that can play first and third. There's nothing wrong with that. There's value in that. I think Jose Fermin, I know people get annoyed by, like, the love fest that is the Jose Fermin conversation on the broadcasts. Well, he's done a good job in the role that he's been given. He's not a starter. He's a really nice super utility guy to have on the bench while he's young and cost controlled, right? So cool, great. They've found something there. Brian Torres, a perfectly adequate left-handed bat to come off of the bench. That's the role that Blaze Jordan should play for the Cardinals right now. That's what he is. He's not a starting third baseman at the major league level, at least not today. Maybe eventually he will become one, but he's not today. Nolan Gorman has that kind of upside. Do I believe it's going to show itself? No, I don't. I think he's going to strike out 30% of the time. I think you're not going to be able to access the same power that he did at the minor league level. I don't think that the walk rate is going to translate. I think you're going to have a lack of contact, and that's going to lead to us once again saying we're done with the Nolan Gorman experience. But you might as well find out, because at least there's upside here. And defensively, I do think he's better than Blaze. I don't think he's great, but I think he's capable. He's got a better arm than Blaze Jordan, and I think he can cover a little bit more ground at third base than Blaze Jordan can. And as a lefty bat, you could platoon that spot with those two guys next year if you really needed to in a worst-case scenario. So find out what it looks like. All of the same things that we've been saying about Joshua Baez or in the past about Mason Wynn or Quinn Matthews on the pitching side of things. You've got 5 weeks left. You've got about 30 games remaining. For those 30 games, start 20-plus of them and see what his bat can do now that he has worked with your system, going away from the major league pressures for about 6 weeks. See what that did for him. Find out what he can be for you. I think the answers are going to be pretty negative. I don't think we're going to enjoy watching Nolan Gorman again. But the alternative is Ramon Urias, who I don't think really has much of a future with your team, or Blaze Jordan, who I don't think has a future as a starting third baseman for your team. So you might as well go this direction. I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, like, I'd like to see what it looks like when you go to the school of Heim Knocks, you know? Like,
what? That was bad.
The school of hard knocks?
It took all of that. You just got back from vacation, a 3-day vacation.
I was thinking of this on Saturday.
And he just ranted for 2 minutes, and that was the best we could come up with.
That was what your response
was? That was pretty good. Like, I'd like to see what it looks like when you go to the school of Heim.
It's not good.
I thought it was good.
It was awful.
It's a play on the hard. I don't think you understand the joke.
I'm close to pressing the off button on your microphone.
It's a play on the school of hard knocks.
No, I got it. I just didn't like it.
I thought it was great. Text line chime in. I thought it was a great dad joke.
314-399-9646. That's the Your Covered Service text line to get involved.
I thought it was great. In all honesty, though, that's why I want to see what it looks like. When we heard Heim talk about it, I said it after the interview. I'm like, look, I don't believe it's going to happen, but they found a way to work with Jordan Walker. They found a way to work with Joshua Baez in their pipeline. Let's see what it looks like. If anything, this is the last hope for Nolan Gorman. Because after you went to the minors for 2 months and you worked with their hitting staff, if you come back and still can't make contact and still are swinging and missing at the same clip you were before, it's done.
And he probably will. He's been doing that in AAA.
And then
a lot.
This month in AAA, percentiles are like what percentage of AAA players are doing this better or worse than you, right? He is in the first percentile in the month of August. Redbird Farmhands tweeted this out earlier today. First percentile in strikeout rate among AAA players at his level in the month of August. So 99% of AAA hitters strike out at a lower rate this month than Nolan Gorman, who is conceivably a major leaguer and is still striking out 37% of the time. Zone contact, when somebody, the opposing pitcher, throws the ball into the zone, what percent of the time are you making contact against said pitch? We were talking about this with Joshua Baez as one of the causes for concern. He was like 40th percentile, which means 60% of AAA hitters were better at it than him. Nolan Gorman is, again, first percentile. Only 70% of the time that an opposing pitcher throws the ball into the zone and he swings, he makes contact.
Oh, God.
That's awful. That is a truly historic, like a horrific rate. And that's at AAA. That gets worse, not better, typically, when you get to the major league level. So my expectation is, Alex, this will go poorly for Nolan Gorman when he gets here. But at least then you know that it's going to go poorly for you at the major league level. And then guess what you get to do this offseason? You non-tender him.
And then when he hits 40 bombs for the next team that he goes to, I say, hey, it wasn't going to work here.
Absolutely.
There's nothing to be upset about.
He should be in the starting lineup tonight. Cardinals are going up against the Orioles at home, and you've got Chris Bassett on the mound. He is a right-handed pitcher. You know who's been terrible against righties since coming up to the big league level?
Nolan Gorman.
Blaze Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Blaze Jordan has been awful against right-handed pitchers. Chris Bassett on the season is allowing left-handed hitters to hit 335 with a 930 OPS against him. 930 OPS. To put that in perspective, that is better than the numbers that like Jordan Walker or Alec Burleson have on the season. Those are MVP caliber numbers. That's what left-handed hitters on average do against Chris Bassett. So yeah, go ahead and throw Nolan Gorman out there, see what he can do. Bassett doesn't strike anybody out. If you strike out against this dude, boy, is it going to be a long road for you. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Good to have all three of us back in studio for today. If you guys would like to get involved in the show, you can do so at 314-399-9646. You can also check us out on YouTube, as always, at youtube.com/101ESPN From Amos, may God have mercy on your soul. From Jeremy, who cares? From Amos, he really Ferrario'd that up.
You guys can shut up because check the text line, and there's a lot of people that loved those dad jokes. From the 314, as I dad with dad jokes, I chuckled. Class A dad joke, well done. Great dad joke. You guys can just cherry pick the reads all you want, but there's a lot of people that love Ferrario dad jokes.
You made those up.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we may or may not be joined in studio by Oskar Sundqvist. He's expected to be joining us at some point, though, today. So stay tuned for that. Oskar Sundqvist, Blues forward, joining us later on. We'll also be joined by Cardinals beat writer Derrick Goold coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. So stay tuned for that as well. But coming up next, hey, at least the college football conferences are giving it the old college try. We'll get into it next here on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T-Bone on BK, so college conferences are trying. I'll give them respect for that. The Big Ten put out a statement earlier today. They're changing their rules, Alex. NFL players, you're not welcome in the Big Ten.
Well, then that's not trying.
That's my conference.
That's not trying, then.
The SEC sent out a harshly worded memo saying, hey, we're going to talk about this. We're going to have a conversation at our meetings, and we don't like the idea of NFL players coming back to play college.
But Congress, help us out.
Yeah, Lane must not
We're
have
not going to do anything, but Congress, please.
Lane must not have gotten that email from the SEC.
Oh, yeah, it just goes to spam.
Oh, I think he got it, and I think he said, cool, we'll see you in court. I think all of this is great. The news today that the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, these big bad conferences, they're going to shove it to the man that is NFL players, I guess. They're going to rage against the machine. That's awesome. And I think it's a smart thing to do, and I think it's what they have to do. But also, why am I supposed to believe that this is going to go any differently than when the NCAA has in place rules that professional athletes are ineligible to play college football? Because that's there. It's not as though this is like this new thing that college conferences have come up with that, hey, if you're an NFL player, you can't come back to play college. No, that's an NCAA rule. The problem is the courts are saying the NCAA's rules don't matter. And so why would I believe that the conference rules are going to matter to any of these judges that are granting the temporary restraining orders against the NCAA? And eventually, I believe, will do the exact same thing to the conferences. I don't know how this gets better without Congress getting involved. I think there has to be literally laws that are put into place in order to change this. And the only way really for that to stand up to anything in court is for Congress to get involved. And Alex, I don't have a lot of confidence right now that that's going to take place. We are in the midst of midterms coming up here a few months from now. I promise you, this is not a political point, but like, if you want stuff to get done, now is not the time for that to take place in Congress. They've got a whole lot of other stuff that they've got their eye on other than trying to push through this Save College Sports Act that conferences are trying to push through. It's just not happening. Not by the time that we get to college football season, which is, checks notes, a week away from today.
Yeah, I think that this is just a little bit of save face for the SEC to where it's like, hey, we need Congress to step in and do something about this because they know they're not going to be able to. And in the meantime, we'll bring some of these guys in. I feel like every time we bring this up, and I'm not saying this to us, I just think when the SEC and Big Ten gets frustrated with this, you're just wasting your breath and you're wasting the potential of getting finger cramps by typing these memos out to people. It is what it is. I mean, the NCAA now is just a lawless Western town. It's everybody does whatever they want. It's like the purge. You just go around and do whatever you want because there's nothing that is going to stop one of those athletes from getting a lawyer and suing the NCAA because there's no black and white. So they get away with it because you don't want to go through the lawsuits and the battles that happen. So they just get their opportunity to play. If I'm a college football coach right now, until Congress steps in, which not happening for this upcoming season, boy, I'm just going to play within the rules of the law. And if they're allowed to play, cool, I'm going to entice that player to come in. Because if I'm a coach right now in college football, I look at it two ways. I can either coach that guy or I'm going to play against that guy.
Did you hear Lane Kiffin's press conference
that what
yesterday?
he said?
He said almost those exact words. Take a listen. Here's Lane Kiffin at the press conference yesterday.
Made a decision to recruit some kids around the country. And, through these multiple injunctions around the country, which this is not a first time in college sports for a while, a group of players were granted a fifth year of eligibility around the country in multiple sports. They're available to recruit. And so ourselves, like many places around the country, are recruiting them. Because of these rulings, they're either going to play for you or they're going to play somewhere else around the country. So we've made a decision to recruit them, like probably most people are.
Yes, that's smart. Like, I know people hate Lane Kiffin, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with them on something, but like the NCAA is lawless. And so if I'm a coach in the SEC, I'm looking at this as, okay, well, I can either recruit this guy to come play for my team and I get to coach an NFL caliber player, or that guy is going to sign with Ole Miss or Alabama or Georgia. And then I'm going to have to deal with coaching against that guy. So I might as well try and recruit him.
What is your job as a college football coach?
To put the best team out there and win.
To win.
Yes.
That is ultimately what your grade card is, right? Like when you're in high school, you are judged, and eventually it becomes what allows you to get into a university or to go a different path, whatever it may be. You are judged based upon what you do on your grade card, more or less. That is your grade card. As a college football coach, is your wins and losses. That's the ledger. How many games are you able to win? And yeah, sure, it's great if you're able to get your guys to graduate and that your guys stay, on the right side of the law. How do you think Georgia fans feel about Kirby Smart? Pretty good, right? He's done a lot of winning there.
Yeah.
You know what they're not doing? Staying away from law enforcement. It seems like every other week there's a new story over the last 3 or 4 years about guys getting in trouble because they're racing down the street in Athens, Georgia. Georgia fans don't watch that. That's not what they're monitoring. They're monitoring if the team is awesome on the football field. That's what they care about. Like, as long as you stay away from felonies, basically, that is the line. This is not a felony. This is playing within the rules as they are currently written by the courts. If these guys are going to be legally allowed to play, dude, I want them on my team. If they're good. Now, if they suck, I don't need them on my team. Like, if there's guys out there that are hoping to get a fifth year that couldn't play at Arkansas, well, I don't need them at LSU. But if I've got a guy that played last year at Alabama and he put up 8 sacks, or a guy that last year played for me if I'm Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, and he was able to plug the middle of the field against the run, or he was a tight end that caught 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, yeah, I'll go ahead and add him to my roster because he's a guy that can help me win. Yeah. And ultimately, that's what you're judged upon as a college football coach nowadays. And it is a cutthroat business, dude. You don't do enough winning, especially in the SEC where you now have a 9-game schedule. You do that for 2 or 3 years, you're gone, done, game over. So Dan Lanning, it's great you came out against this. I love the fact that Marcus Freeman came out against this. You going to have that same thought this time next year if we continue with the same rules?
Yeah.
Because it's very much in play that this stuff does not get taken care of by the time that we get to this place a year from now.
Yeah, ask Dabble, who's still behind on the times, how it's going, not going to the transfer portal. I mean, that was the very first thing that really changed across college sports was the opening of the portal. Dabo still isn't adapting to it, and look at where Clemson's gone. Clemson's no longer that elite title contender anymore. They've kind of become an afterthought in college football. The only reason we talk about it is because Dabo's still there. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you're a coach in college football, look, I agree with what Dan Lanning says. I think once you go pro, you sign you sign an agent, declare for the draft, go through that draft process, and don't pull your name out. To me, you're done with college athletics. Courts say otherwise. So I guess I'm going to have to go recruit those guys if I am a coach in college football. And look, I'm glad the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC came out and said, hey, no doing this. Until I see that hold up in a court of law, though, I don't think that's going to stay put. And if I'm a team in the Big 10, I would want to try and go get those guys. So if I have to play LSU this year, Clemson, who plays LSU this year, if I'm Dabo Swinney, I'd be saying, hey, hold on, wait a minute. Let me see if I can go get some former NFL players so I can beat LSU.
And guess what? When you can't get that guy, then you complain about how they're letting college or NFL players come back to college football. Like, I think the coaches need to stop complaining about this and just play within the rules.
Can I ask you a quick question as an aside? Are grade cards a KC thing? Do you guys call them
I couldn't believe you called it a grade card. I don't want to stop your cooking, but
report card.
They're called report cards, man.
We called them grade cards growing up. I don't know.
Maybe you did.
Dude, is that seriously a KC thing?
I guess. I don't know. I didn't know that
you really
this was
called them grade cards. I just thought you couldn't think of the word report.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
I mean, it makes sense that you'd call them grade cards because, I mean, logically, it's a grade on a card.
Yeah. I've heard them called report cards as well.
They've always been called report cards.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I don't want to stop you from cooking, but yeah, I was like, what the hell did you just call them?
I've seen a number of people on the YouTube chat that were like, what the hell is that? No.
Yeah. Grade cards. That's a new one.
Yeah, we used to call them grade cards growing up. So I don't know. I guess that must have been, I don't know if that's a Kansas City thing or if that was.
You pronounced crayons wrong, too.
Yeah, that's fair. That is accurate.
Cranes. What? You never heard that? Crowns, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's stupid.
I think where that came
from.
You
call them crowns?
Yeah.
In Kansas City, there's a place called Crown Center.
And there was spelled like crayons?
Well, no, CROWN. But at Crown Center, there was the Crayola restaurant. So I just used to call them Crayola crowns.
But you call them Crayola, so crayons.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, okay. Crayon is what it's actually called. I called them crowns, though.
So we just Sherlock Holmes this. They're never called grade cards. They're called report cards.
Yeah, YouTube or text line, BK's ass sweat. Same people that can't pronounce crayons call it. Yeah.
How do you say, how do you play syrup?
Syrup.
Okay, good. Just making sure. There's people that are like, ooh, it's called syrup. And
So
like,
I
no,
normally
it's
call
not.
it syrup, and then when I focus on, if I say it in a sentence, I will 100% of the time say syrup.
Really?
If I am like asked how do I pronounce it, I'll say syrup. I don't know why. I can't explain that one for
I've
you.
never in life ever seen the Y pronounced like a U. Syrup.
I don't know. I call it syrup.
All right. 734.
Unless
We
I'm
call them
asked,
grade
and then I
cards
call
too.
it syrup.
Born in
See, I'm
Independence.
telling you. I don't know why
they're called
that's a
report
Kansas
cards.
City thing, or if it is a Kansas City thing, but we did call them grade cards growing up. Anyways, okay. So if I was a college football coach, I would do the same thing. Yeah, I would be trying to get these guys on my roster. I will add this. I think this is going to be a huge problem for college sports. I don't know what you can do to fix this truly, but something's going to need to be done, because this will become an issue where guys that are fourth-year players are all declaring for the draft, because why wouldn't you? If you're a good player, declare for the draft, go through the pre-draft process, see if you get drafted, and if you don't, then go back to college. Yep. Because what it's now shown you is that, hey man, there's no rules, like truly no rules. Not only will you be allowed to go back to college, you'll be able to transfer wherever you want to go, and there's almost like a free market system in college that will exist with free agency post-NFL draft if this is allowed to go through. Now, I don't know. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. I don't know how the NFL will handle this, and they get to determine their own rules. Will these guys that come back to college, will they be viewed as NFL draft prospects again next year? Or will they at that point be viewed as free agents? And if they're free agents, will they be able to go to the highest bidder? Or will they be on an entry-level deal the way that like an undrafted rookie would be, where they're capped in terms of how much they're ultimately able to make?
Are a lot of these guys undrafted, though?
Most of them are undrafted.
I was going to say, I feel like you should be eligible. If you're drafted and you go back to the NFL or to college, that's where I feel like you fall into the...
Oh, why? What's the difference?
Because you weren't drafted the first time around. I was signed as a free agent.
I agree, but honestly, what's the difference at this point?
Well, there's no difference, but...
They're both free agents, quote-unquote, and that's why they're going back to college. So there's really, like, if you were a 6th-round pick or undrafted, from the college's perspective right now, there's really no difference. If you end up getting cut by your respective rosters and decide to go back to college, and then the following year for the NFL, I don't know how they would do it.
You're the problem, though. You're embracing the gray area. I'm trying to give you black and white right now, saying you get drafted, no more.
I wish that was the case.
Well,
I
Congress
wish
should
that's the
step
way
up,
that
right?
this was operating, is that there would be black and white. And once you go to the NFL draft, this is how it's been for my entire life. Once you get past a certain date, if you remain a part of the NFL draft process, you are no longer eligible to retain your collegiate eligibility. You're done. Your college eligibility has come to its conclusion. The NBA has the same thing. Once you're in the NBA draft at this date, you're in the NBA draft, and now you're done with college, and you can either go to the NBA, the G League, overseas, whatever, but your college career has come to its conclusion. For the first time in all of our lives, that is no longer the case. Now, if you go to the NFL draft, you're still eligible for college.
You can even go to training camp.
So long as you have not played that 5th year. And for future years, like, you could theoretically, after a 3rd year of a player, have that guy go to the NFL draft, test the waters. He does not get drafted, goes back to college, has a good year, goes back to the NFL draft the following year this is after his 4th season of college. Tests the waters again, doesn't get drafted, then goes back to college again, and finally that 3rd time through, say he's like a 6th-round draft pick, and suddenly now he's an NFL player. And you could go 3 consecutive years in the NFL draft, assuming that this does not get fixed over the next couple of years. Theoretically, that's in play.
Hell yeah.
It's basically baseball's draft, but instead of these guys being high school players that are deciding between signing with a college and signing with a pro team, it's collegiate players that are deciding between signing with an NFL team and staying in the NFL or going back to college.
Really yo-yoing back and forth. And the part that's wild to me is they can go to like training camp. I mean, this tight end, we talked about it yesterday, that's going back to back to LSU. He just played in the preseason. Like, that's the wild part about it. It'd be one thing if, like, hey, got drafted or went through the draft process, didn't get drafted, saw what the offers were, like, when the draft occurs and says, you know what, actually, I want to go back to college. This is, you can go to training camp, see if you can get on a active roster, and if you can't, then you can go back and just yo-yo back and forth. That's the part that is just mind-boggling to me that it's allowed, but here we are. This is where we are today in the year 2026.
It's lawless, man. And as long as it stays lawless, I have no problem with people playing within the rules that are given to them.
I just want rules. I don't even understand what is or isn't allowed.
I'm not blaming the coaches. I'm not blaming the agents. I'm not blaming the kids. Like, they are playing with the rules that have been given to them. I understand. They're all doing what's in their own best interest. That's the problem, though, is that everybody's doing what's in their own best interest instead of doing what's best for college football. Nobody either can or will see the forest through the trees and say, like, hey, guys, this ain't working. And finally, again, this is why I give a little bit of credit here to the conferences. At least they're trying. I just don't think there's anything they can actually do to stop this, because these kids will just keep finding courts and keep finding judges that will grant them eligibility. And until Congress get involved, my understanding is that's the only way legally that they can stop this. And so good luck, college.
All right.
Athletics.
Step up, drink, start going after them all.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Play within the rules.
Brett, we need some wide receivers, man. 3 of our top 5 are down.
I'm fascinated to see what happens after cut down day in the NFL. We're a week away from cut down day.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be it's truly the Wild West.
I can't.
There was a report yesterday that it's not just these guys that were already given the temporary restraining order. There are other players across the NFL right now that know they're likely to be cut in the next week that have reached out to their agents to say, hey, what would it look like? What's the market for me if I go back to college in the next week or two? And you know how these teams set up their schedule? Most of them have, blood donors in the first 2 weeks of the season, so they can go back, get 2 weeks under their belt. They're already in football shape. They just got to learn the playbook in the next 2 weeks. And then they're ready to go for the conference slate.
This is wild.
It's like
they probably already got the playbook in their hands.
T-Bone, I don't know if you remember this, but Alex, there used to be the mid-season transfer in college basketball where they would enter the transfer portal midway through the year, and then the following year they would be eligible for their new team starting in January. So they would join the group.
I don't remember
once you got to conference play. Jabari Brown was one of those guys, I believe, for Mizzou.
That's wild.
And yeah,
I remember the old, you'd have to sit out the year when you would transfer, because I remember when teams would get that, you'd be like, oh man, I'm so excited for when this guy joins the group. I didn't remember hey, he joins in January in the middle of conference play. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. All right, coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll be joined by Oskar Sundqvist in studio. The Blues forward will join us here on BK and Ferrario. But next, you've been asking for it. We'll give it to you. Fantasy football forecast. We'll talk through some of your decisions as you get closer to your fantasy football drafts next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. According to Jeff Jones of the Belleville News-Democrat, the Cardinals are expected to place Mason Wynn on the 10-day IL and are expected to recall infielder Nolan Gorman from AAA. Cardinals back in action tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch as they take on the Baltimore Orioles. Matthew Liberatore expected to get the start for St. Louis. Chris Bassett on the mound for Baltimore. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. All right, let's get into some fantasy football forecast, Alex. I want to do this a little bit over the next week or two.
I love the alliteration.
People are putting together their fantasy football drafts. I think we'll have our 101 ESPN fantasy draft at some point in the next couple of weeks as well.
For the text that says, hey, guys, we're doing this again.
You mean our commish hasn't sent one out and the season begins when? Checks no, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
I see what you're doing, though. You're waiting for everything to play itself out, right? See if any other guys go to the college.
The first NFL game is not yet.
Yeah, you waiting for college fantasy sports to come out?
The first NFL game is not until September 9th. We've legitimately got 2 weeks until the start of the NFL season. Yeah, so we've got nothing but time.
Will you legitimately remember that we have to do a draft before September 9th?
Still
I've never forgotten the draft. Yeah. I'm not the problem when it comes to that.
It's somebody else. It's somebody other league that I was in that said a little bit ago, oh, yeah, we have to do that.
Yeah, somebody else said that.
Yeah, that was somebody. That was another commissioner of another league.
So let's start out with this. If you guys had the #1 overall pick this year in your fantasy football draft, who are you taking?
I had the #1 overall pick in the draft that I did this past weekend, and I took Jahmyr Gibbs.
Did you?
Yeah, and I feel like it's such the chalk one. I debated between that and Bijan, but I just liked the idea of what Jahmyr Gibbs can offer, and I think that offense is going to be night and day better than what the Atlanta Falcons was. So and for how fast running backs go off the board after that, I'm like, I got to take the running back because they're not going to be here on the turn.
Yeah, I'm with Alex. I would go Gibbs. I could get Robinson. I just don't know what to make of the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to suck. So I'm afraid that that's eventually going to put either too much workload on him and he gets hurt, or with their quarterback situation, he's not even going to get the ball in the passing game. So Gibbs is my guy, and if I were to go #2, I'd go Jamar Chase over Robinson.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And I love wide receivers more than running backs in the early rounds. I really
even
do.
This year?
Yeah, I do that every year. That's always been my strategy.
I normally do. This year I do not.
Dude,
I really don't like early wide receiver this year.
The draft that I was just in, it's a 12-player league. I want to say there were 3 total wide receivers taken in the first round, and 2 of the 3 were taken in the last 2 picks. So it went all running backs.
The current ADP, average draft position. Now everybody's league is a little different. There's non-PPR, there's PPR. There's a lot of different factors that can go into what your scoring is and ultimately who goes. But just on average, this is where these guys go. The 4 receivers that are going on average in the first round are Puka, Jamar Chase, JSN, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are the 4 receivers that on average go in the first round. Meanwhile, the running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane. Yeah. Once you get to the 3rd round, I have very little interest in most of the running backs. Mm-hmm. I think the receivers are still really good.
Oh, yeah, you're deep there.
3rd round, you can get Tet McMillan, Devontae Smith, Emeka Egbuka, T. Higgins,
Rome Odunze,
Jamison Williams, Slad McConkey. I really like most of these wide receivers. You can get DJ Moore or Jalen Waddle in the 4th or 5th round in drafts this year. I feel much better about those than I do the running back options, which are Bucky Irving, Ollie Gordon, Bashan Tootin, DeAndre Swift, who else? David Montgomery, who's 100 years old and is coming off of a serious injury.
Yeah, but he's
Jalen Warren.
Machine.
Yeah. They think the side swap.
Jalen Warren, I don't even know who the #1 is in Pittsburgh. Both of them. There's 2 of them in Pittsburgh.
I just get really worried about the running backs as we get further into the draft. T-Bone, do you still feel that way after hearing some of the options?
Yeah, no, this has always been my draft strategy. And look, I won't lie, it hasn't worked the last 2 years. But I won back-to-back championships in our league. I don't mean to brag. It's a little bit of a weird flex, but that's always been my strategy. I value those top-end wide receivers, and if I need to figure out the running back spot, I typically will say, because I will try for a running back in like round 2 or 3. I always try to get one in the top 3 rounds, but I prefer to go 2 receivers out of 3 in those first 3 rounds. Because I always assume I'm going to be able to pick up a running back on waivers if I need one.
I think I'm going to go top 2 rounds running back this year.
Yeah, I went running back, wide receiver, and then I went more running backs.
And I also view it because I like to stack up on wide receiver is to see if I can eventually swing a trade as well. Now, in our league, that's freaking impossible. But
people just
are terrible.
Suck at that.
That's kind of been my thing. I mean, I pulled some trades off with Alex last year. I flipped wide receiver to get a running back. I did that the other couple of years ago as well with, I don't remember who it was, maybe Jackson. I can't remember. But that's kind of my MO is I will figure out the running back spot. The receivers can put up huge numbers for you week in and week out, and that's what I like to do is load up on some top guys as wide receiver ones.
And I personally just always feel like it really comes down to where you're selecting in the draft, because if you're selecting like the first or second pick, you kind of have to take a running back at that spot because the running backs are going to be gone by the time it swings back to you.
Agreed.
And I'm all about just getting star players in the first 2 or 3 rounds. And if I can't get a star running back in the next pick that I make, then I got to go the wide receiver and just stack up as many of those as possible and then try and backfill. Because if I could get 1-star running back and add 2-star wide receivers, then I'll go back and circle back on that next running back and get depth.
That's a really good point, Alex. If you're in a league where you get to choose where you pick, like based upon your previous finish, or a lot of different leagues do this differently. Like one of my leagues that I was in, for the home run derby, you'd pick somebody and then their finish becomes your choice, right? Like, so you get the first selection, but not the first pick. You get to choose where you draft within the league.
Smart.
So if you are in a league like that, I would rather pick it like 10 to 12 this year.
That's
at the back half of the first round.
I wanted that.
Because then you get your option of whoever falls to you with Amon-Ra St. Brown, James Cook, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, some of the other receivers that are going in this area, Drake London, CD, Justin Jefferson, Rasheed. But then you also get these running backs here, Chase Brown, Saquon, Genty, Kenneth Walker, Marion Hampton. So I could potentially choose 2 of those running backs there. Like you could get Derrick Henry and Chase Brown as your turn there at the end of the first and second, into the first, early second round. I like that way better than going, for example, if you were picking second, Bijan Robinson, and then coming back around and getting a Marion Hampton, Zay Flowers, Malik Neighbors, something like that. So I normally don't feel this way, but this year I think the first round is so deep that I would rather pick in that 10 to 12 range than 1 to 3, personally.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I've never really liked being in that top half of the draft.
I hate it.
Because you go so far in between picks in the early rounds. You know, and that's why I don't like it. I would rather be kind of more smack dab in the middle. Like in my league, a buddy of mine, I'm picking like 5th out of 10 teams, so I'm like right in the middle. I'm okay with that. I would prefer to be more towards the back, like you guys are saying, so you can get that turn. And it's really just the value of the first 2 rounds, right? When you get later in the draft, like, okay, maybe you end up having things play out pretty well for you, but it's mostly those first 2 rounds. If you have to go that long separation, I hate that, and that changes your draft strategy completely.
Is there anybody this year that you're wanting to leave every draft with? Whether that's first round, second round, third, wherever you can get him in the draft, but you're just like, this is my guy. I'm putting the Alex Ferrario, T-Bone, BK stamp of approval next to his name. I want him not only on one of my fantasy teams, but every league that I'm playing in this year, I want him to be a part of what I'm going to be able to put together when it comes to my roster.
Sounds like somebody's trying to get a little background information before our upcoming draft, huh?
I don't even have a date set.
Mine's A.J. Brown.
Wow.
I said it before. I said I think A.J. Brown is going to be one of the top wide receivers in the game this year. Being with Mike Vrabel, being with Drake May, who loves to go downfield. I think A.J. Brown's pissed off how the last couple of years went. That was one that I kind of put my flag down and said, this would be the guy that I want to make sure I leave the draft with at some point.
Yeah, for me, one would be a running back for me. That's Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to have a huge year with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dude, he went 5th overall in the draft.
Really?
I'm like, what are we doing here? I get it, but what are we doing?
If you want to leave the draft with him like me and you're kind of stuck at 5, like you're saying, and now if you're in a 12-team league especially, then I could see how you'd reach for him.
Their reasoning was, I don't want to take Christian McCaffrey. I want to get a guy who's going to be used volume-wise and doesn't have the potential to get
anybody for doing that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That was where their debate was.
I said this, I think, yesterday when we were talking, or maybe it was last week. CMC's a guy that I just avoid every year, even though I know there's a chance he's like the MVP of a fantasy league. He scares me because of his health, so I try to avoid him completely.
Ultimately, I would say this. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to like the team that you draft. And if you don't like the team that you draft, like if you're going to be scared every week about Christian McCaffrey's health, that sucks. It's not an enjoyable experience. And so you're just living miserable every week while you're watching the games on Sunday. A lot of this, like the reason why fantasy football can be an enjoyable experience for you is because you have fun watching your players and you root for them individually. So if you want to root on Sundays or Thursdays or Saturday, whatever the games are, for Kenneth Walker and the Kansas City Chiefs, dude, that sounds like a really fun experience to me. The guy breaks off long runs, 1 out of every 5 that he touches the ball. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead and draft him, even if that is a quote-unquote reach based upon your league standards. That's fine. Like, what, are we supposed to believe that Jonathan Taylor's a model of health? No, not up until last year. Derrick Henry's over the age of 30. Devon Achane plays for one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Same thing for Ashton Genty, and he just got hurt. So these guys are all technically going in front of him based upon average draft position. Mm-hmm. The one guy that is going in that range that I find it hard to argue for Kenneth Walker over him would be James Cook. Yeah. Great offense, really good quarterback, situation that I can trust, has been more successful and more stable in the past than Kenneth Walker, has a passing down role. So James Cook, if he's still on the board, I'd have a tough time with that one over Kenneth Walker. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, anything 6 or beyond, I think is a totally reasonable place to take him.
It's such a different draft because you're used to the same names, and when you see that one pop up, and again, I totally get it, especially with the other ones that were picked, but you see it and then you see all those wide receivers up there, and I mean, it was just a slew of running backs that went quick.
One receiver that I really liked, I'm going to try and target probably early, like he's right now going around like the 4th round, early 4th, and I would probably reach for him in the 3rd, is Emeka Egbuka from Tampa Bay. I think he's going to have a huge season there in Tampa. You've got a pissed off Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to be slinging it. I think he's going to put up huge numbers this season. He's going to have a bigger workload as well. I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, the running back that I made sure I got too, and I think I got him in the 6th or 5th, was Jadarian Price from Seattle.
I like that pick.
Just because Charbonnet's out for the first portion of it, they went first round to get this guy. Like, this was a guy that I wanted to make sure you kind of put into the backstock of running backs.
My player this year is Javonte Williams. We've mentioned it before. I think Dallas is going to have a really big resurgent season this year. I think they're going to finish with 10-plus wins, potentially win the NFC East. I think the offense is going to be top 5 in the NFL. And I think Javonte Williams is going to be, as a byproduct of that, a guy that scores a ton of points. Mm-hmm. And that's going to include a lot of touchdowns. So I want to have Javonte Williams in most of the leagues that I'm going to be participating in this year. And you look at the running backs that are going around him, it's a bunch of bad offenses. Like Jeremiah Love, Breece Hall, Cam Scattaboo, Bucky Irving potentially, Quinshon Judkins, Ollie Gordon. I don't want those offenses. I don't want any part of them. I would love to have a significant piece of the Dallas Cowboys offense. So Javonte Williams is a guy that I'm going to be targeting in a bunch of different drafts. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to be joined hopefully by Oskar Sundqvist in studio. Joins us here on BK and Ferrario. But next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. From the manager, Lou Brown, given the injuries that the team has suffered, is it reasonable to think that the Cardinals will crater and finish with around 75 wins? They're at 66 wins right now, so they would have to win 9 the rest of the way. That feels really low to me.
They got too easy of a schedule for me to think that they're going to be that bad.
They're going to be around 80.
I was thinking 80 to 85.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it's going to be 9. That feels too low. I think it's going to be around like 78 to 80, somewhere in that range.
From the 636, do you guys still think that the Cardinals will finish above 500? No. A little below.
Close. I think you're going to waver between right above it or right below it.
Yeah, it just depends. Can the offense carry them through this stretch like they've been asked to do? I would lean towards too much pressure with the lack of pitching, so I would say no, but I think it'd be close.
From the 406, guys, you could ask Goold this too, although I don't think he'll like the premise. Are the Cardinals in the wild card right now if they don't trade Dustin May, JoJo Romero, and Lars Nootbaar at the trade deadline? Maybe.
I think
Dustin May changes things.
Well, JoJo's still not even playing for you yet. He hasn't even come back from Milwaukee. Dustin May helps you. I don't think Lars Nootbaar really changes a whole lot. I don't know. I think you're probably right around where you're at right now. I still think that Phillies season or the series goes probably the way that it went.
Yeah, I think you're in a better spot. I don't know that you're in the wild card picture. I mean, you're right. May would definitely help them, especially now that they're dealing with some pitching injuries. JoJo's not back. Nootbaar would be better than Baez just because.
Have you seen what he's done? He actually has not been better than
He's
Baez,
been awful.
believe it or not.
He's been awful.
terrible. He's batting 175 with the 295 on base percentage.
I don't know if that
Diamondbacks.
happens if he's here. You know, people talk about the change of scenery thing all the time. So, like, I would bet he would have been better here than he is with Arizona. And Baez just strikes out. It's a different profile. But I would say it changes by like a game or two. I don't think it's anything significant.
From the 314, what are the percentage chances that they sign Miles Mikolas to eat innings? I can't say 0.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what the alternative's going to be, and I can't tell you that it's
guarantee
going to be
Miles
better.
would sign anything if they offered it to him.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it at 0% chance. I think it's like 25% chance, and maybe even higher than that.
And when do they need their next starter? What, Thursday? Because they've got Libby and McGreevy over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And they're replacing it for Palante and...
Well, Matthews took
I guess
Palante.
Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn.
Quinn will probably take one of those 2 days, either on Thursday or Friday. I'd have to backtrack on which day exactly he'd be. I think Thursday or Friday would be him. See, I think they need one Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know who that guy is currently in your system. I don't think you have a good option.
What a weekend series. Welcome,
Well, to be
Miles.
fair,
back.
I don't think there's a good option no matter where you go.
No doubt. Yeah, all of the options will be bad.
Yeah.
At least if you decide to go with a free agent that you just signed for a day, just make him a mercenary. Hey, go throw 100 pitches. Let's see how far you can get us. You don't really have any downside to that when it comes to your 40-man. You could just immediately release them the day after. Say, hey, thanks for the 24 hours of service time
Welcome
here.
back.
So if that's Miles Mikolas, he's got a glove that he can go to. And, like,
Nice. He's got a
I mean,
glove.
for real, like, it's kind of all you need. Show up. Can you throw 100 pitches? Hopefully get us through 5. Yeah, you gave up 6. Have a good one.
Appreciate
That's kind of what
you.
they're looking for.
Appreciate you.
And I think they're going to have to go external unless they can line it up. But I think he just pitched like yesterday, so I don't even think he would line up with the spot. With the lefty in the system, Josh Fleming, who's a veteran that you could come up here and he could do that.
But I don't know that he eats those kind of innings.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just don't know. And to be fair, I'm not sure Michaels could give you 5 at this point in his career.
Yeah. I think he's giving you 100 pitches. That's about it.
I think that's what they're going to be looking for, though, because I don't want to stunt the growth of any of those guys in the minors, like Molina, Chirpy. Oh, he's mostly kind of still coming back from injury, but he falls in the same category along with Senja. I'm with you. I would just go out and like sign a mercenary. You go out there for 100 pitches and then see you later.
The nice thing with Mikolas is he just threw 2 weeks ago. Like, he's stretched out. He's ready to go.
Swing and miss is there.
In his last 13 starts, he went 65 innings, averaged 5 innings per start. It wasn't good. He had a 5.6 ERA. But, I mean, there's starts in here that you'd look back on and say, yeah, that's fine. 6 innings against Atlanta, 4 earned runs, 4 innings against the Yankees, no earned runs. 7 innings against Boston, 6 earned runs. It's not sexy, but gets the job done.
I just don't.
I just like how we're loosely throwing the word around mercenary, too.
I want somebody else. Just because I saw Michaelis, and we talked about, isn't it nice not to see Michaelis in
I think instead of mercenary, let's replace it with just body.
Yeah, sure.
I think
You can use whatever
I think
adjective.
mercenary is a little
Whatever
too
word you
aggressive
want.
for Miles Michaelis.
I mean, Herman Marquez is out there.
The Cardinals are more of a mercenary to Miles Michaelis. They're just going to break him for one game.
Marquez last pitched on August 4th and went 1 inning. Gave up
he's in the minors
Taiwan
now.
Walker
He's
up
with,
to?
I think, Minnesota. I think he's pitched.
We wanted Taiwan Walker back in March.
He hasn't pitched, though, so I don't know
I guarantee
if he
that
could
arm
give you the
is
innings.
ready to go.
I truly don't know if he's stretched out or not.
I would
He's
go
a
after
mercenary.
McCullers or Lorenzen. Those would be the two that I would
And
target.
it's
Didn't
two
McCullers
starts.
get cut right after he was signed by a team?
Yeah, Milwaukee, I think.
Yeah. They
and
traded for him to be a mercenary.
And Marquez's 2 starts with the St. Paul Saints, 3 innings, 5 earned, 4 innings, 1 earned. So he's not giving you
I
innings.
do Lorenzen. Has he been bad? Must be if he's available.
Yeah.
I like
He's
I
in
like
Colorado, and he was like, I can't wait for this.
He
guy.
went
It's
too
like, dude.
He went too into bodybuilding in the offseason.
He looks great, though.
He looks ripped.
The last time that he went at least 5 innings was July 12th.
All right.
I know nobody wants to hear this. Among the free agent options, I think your best option is Miles Michaelis.
No.
I think he's right.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I think we're doing this whole thing where Miles was bad last year when they were trying to compete. Now Miles perfectly fits what they need.
He's terrible. It's not going to be good.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
he can give
selling
you
you
5.
anything on this. I'm selling you on he takes these arms or these innings. I can't speak now. He takes these innings away from your bullpen, and that's the only thing that matters. That's all they're trying to accomplish with this start.
Out of all of the options that we just named, he's the only one that can give you 5.
He has started recently. He has gone deeper recently. He knows the way around the clubhouse. That's kind of all I need.
Yeah.
Like, if they signed him on Thursday, I know what the response is going to be. I will say good work by Heimblum.
Honestly, I will too.
He did what he needed to do.
Don't use the word mercenary. It's not a mercenary.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll be joined in studio by Oskar Sundqvist, the Blues forward. He's going to join us to talk a little bit about what it's like to be back here in St. Louis, what he's expecting from this competition between himself and these other fourth liners. There are a number of them, so we'll get into all of that and so much more with Oskar Sundqvist when he joins us in studio here in just a little bit. But next, T-Bone said yesterday, the player that's most under the microscope for him the rest of the season is Ivan Herrera. Who else fits under that criteria? We'll talk about it next year on BK and Ferrario. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. T-Bone said something interesting yesterday that caught my ear. He said that Ivan Herrera is the Cardinals player most under the microscope the rest of the way. Now, whether you agree with that or not, it's an interesting thought. And he is somebody that I do think we should be watching, given how much his season has not been really in line with what we expected, and really even what we saw the first 2 months of the regular season. Alex, who else fits into that criteria for you as we go down the stretch here, 30 games remaining?
Well, I think he was replaced by the transaction that was taken later today. I think Nolan Gorman's probably under the microscope more than Ivan Herrera with this call-up. But to me, the guy that I would put in this category is Matthew Liberatore. Matthew Liberatore is the one I think is most under the microscope. And it's because of his struggles earlier this year, how he's gotten more improved these last few starts, but with all of these arms coming up through the system with potentially 3 guys that could be in the rotation by next year, I think Andre Palante is probably the number one guy that's going to get pushed out of that rotation just because of the contract situation. I'd put it tied for first, Matthew Liberatore, because if he doesn't remain consistent by the start of next year or even for the rest of this season, I can see the Cardinals looking at this saying, look, you are a better asset for us in the bullpen long term. We don't have JoJo Romero anymore. You're going to be our weapon from the left side, and you get replaced. So he's mine in terms of I think he's under the microscope the most the rest of this season.
Yeah, I like that one because I think for Libby now, he somehow went from the guy that we were calling for his head to, hey, job security, right? Like, I mean, he's locked in to be that guy for them. So I think he's one that you can definitely circle as well.
Yeah, thank you, injuries. On that one.
I know. And it's, to me, more for his, in terms of trade bait as well, right? Because I don't know that they would keep him to be a bullpen arm going through the ARB system. I think they could use it, hey, he bounces back. Okay, now we can trade him for like a lottery ticket prospect would be my guess.
I would go Nathan Church as my answer to this question. Have you guys seen what he's done in the month of August?
And that's not been great.
No, the opposite. It's quietly been very good. He's batting 300 this month with an OPS of 750. Like, he's been an above-average contributor. Now, this is what he does. He is a roller coaster at the plate because he's a wild swinger. Like, he's not somebody that has great plate discipline. He doesn't get on base at a super high clip. He's not going to walk very often. He's going to strike out maybe a little bit more than what you'd want. But when he gets into this kind of a groove, it looks pretty damn good. And I'm kind of intrigued by what he can be long-term as at least a platoon option in center field. He's been much more productive offensively than what we have seen so far from Victor Scott. Now, Vic has also been pretty good lately at AAA. I don't think that means a whole lot. Maybe he can be like the 27th guy or 28th guy once you get into the month of September. But for right now, I will be interested to see what it looks like the rest of the way with Nathan Church in center field. He now has coming up on 10 home runs, close to 10 stolen bases. He's done it in about 100 games for the Cardinals this year. I think there's a case to be made that he's your starting center fielder on opening day of next year.
That's the only reason why I would push back in the sense of I don't think he's under the microscope. I think he's got that job next year because nobody's pushing him out of it.
Unless they decide to go to the free agent market. Now, I don't know what the offseason is going to look like for the Cardinals, but there's a case to be made that they just go out there and get a relatively cheap $10 million center fielder for next season and just have a placeholder there.
Do you think that'd be a platoon option, though, to where you just go get a guy who can, like, but wasn't that what Pereira was? And I know he hasn't been good, but I think Pereira was that.
Yeah, I think you could get a better version of that. Okay. A more stable, certain version of what Pereira is going to be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, I think if Nathan Church is really good the rest of the way and continues for the next 30 games to perform the way he has for the last 25, well, that's 50 games of pretty decent production, and he did it at the end of the year. You could convince yourself pretty easily, hey, this is a guy that deserves a little more runway here for us. He's only 26 years old. He's cheap, cost-controlled. Let's go ahead and spend that money elsewhere and use it on a different asset. Maybe we go get, another bullpen arm next year instead of adding some kind of a center field option. So I think all of those options are more than reasonable. Gorman, Liberatore, I would go with Nathan Church. All of them are under the microscope the rest of the way, along with T-Bone's nominee yesterday of Ivan Herrera.
It's funny, real quick. Like, there's 2 categories. There's a category of guys that you don't need under the microscope because you know what they are, like Weatherholt, Burleson, Walker.
Absolutely.
Even Mason Wynn in that front, Kyle Leahy. And then you've got another side of they're not under the microscope because nobody really cares. Like Blaze Jordan, Pereira. Like, there's not a whole lot of in-between on this Cardinals roster, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing when you're in a rebuild.
It means you've had answers.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 categories for under the microscope. The pitching or playing to be a part of the Cardinals next season. Like, that's Gorman, that's Liberatore. And then just like for Herrera, that's not the case for Herrera. His in the category of, okay, what is his ceiling and can he get back to what he was last year when we
What's
really
your
thought he was 30
long-term
home run?
role?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
with the roster.
That's more of where Herrera fits in, but the guys like Gorman, Liberatore, maybe even Church kind of falls into this. He may be more of the long-term role with the roster.
Yeah.
There's two different categories for when you're under the microscope as well.
I would go Jimmy Crooks. Could be thrown into this mix as well.
Sure.
What are you? And how do you fit into the roster as soon as next year?
Yeah.
Are you a trade bait kind of player this offseason, or are you somebody that really has an opportunity to be the number one catcher for the Cardinals in 2027? I think that's an open-ended question. Right now, I'm not leaning toward him being the answer. Coming up next, we're going to be joined in studio by Oskar Sundqvist, Blues Forward here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. Happy to be joined in studio by Oskar Sundqvist, Blues Forward, joining us here on 101 ESPN. Oskar, appreciate the time, man. How you doing today?
Oh, thanks for having me, first of all. Doing great. It's been cooled off here the last couple of days, so it's nice to be outside.
I was going to say, you just got back, a couple of days ago from St. Louis. Did you pull up and be like, okay, this isn't St. Louis in the summertime?
Oh, no, especially not August. It's usually crazy, but I've been lucky, being in Florida while you guys had a heat wave over here, so I kind of missed the heat wave, so that's a good sign for me.
What did the summer include for you?
A trip back to Sweden for 3 weeks with the little one, and then come back here, and then then a couple of weeks down with my wife's parents in Florida. So it's usually Sweden and Florida, and then we're mostly in St. Louis.
You've made this place home for you. So these last couple of off seasons, has it been basically that, to where it's just back in St. Louis and getting underway with the off season with the occasional trips throughout?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. last, I would say, 5 years.
Really?
It's been majority St. Louis during the summers and being here. And, obviously my wife is from here, but we love it. I love it maybe more than her. But no, it's great. I love the summers here, and except like we talked about, except when it's 100 degrees out. But other than that, it's awesome.
Where was it before that, Oskar? Where was like home base for you in the off seasons?
Home base was in back home in Sweden.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I had a place there then, and I actually sold that place and just full time having a place here. So like I said, I love spending summers here and being here.
Yeah.
Tell us why you adopted this place as your hometown. You could have made it anywhere, right? Like, you have the ability to do that. You could just come back for training camp, live here for the season, and then you're done. But why did you decide this is the place you want to be?
That's actually a hard question. I don't know. It's just somewhere like inside of me, it just feels like home, and it's felt like home since my first year here. Get very comfortable very quickly here, and I just love everything about it. It's easy to, maybe it helps too, it's easy to get places. Traffic isn't horrible, but I just loved it from day one, and it really feels like home.
And it makes a difference. You've been through the free agency process a couple of times now, to where like you have any place available to you. But I guess when you get established with the team, with the city, you become fond to it. Does that make those free agency decisions a little bit easier in your front when you know there's a place that just feels too perfect to leave?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely makes it easier. And it's been a couple times where there's been multiple offers, but in the end, this is where I want to be, and this is where I want to stay. So. It has never been a hard decision to resign.
I was sitting in the back of our broadcast booth at the end of the season when Curbs and Joey interviewed at the end. I think it was the last home game, and they talked to you just about the team and the uncertainty of what the offseason, and you had the best quote that I think I have heard in a long time, to where you said, "I'd do anything for this jersey. I'd die for this note." You should have seen the look on Curbs and Joey's faces. It was just glowing from ear to ear.
Curbs loved that.
Oh, God, Curbs just soaked it. I think we talked about it for 45 minutes after the game. Like, Curbs wouldn't stop with it. But that's always kind of been who Oskar Sundqvist has been to a lot of fans. I remember when you announced that you were coming back to the Blues with the blue heart emoji. Like, everybody was ecstatic. Do you remember when it kind of felt that way to you? Was it right after that Stanley Cup season? Was it a little bit longer into that turn?
No, I think it was during that season, during that Stanley Cup season. You really got to. I feel for me, maybe I was more connecting to the city than my first year. I was more maybe outgoing and going around the city and seeing new places. And so I feel like that maybe connected me more to the city during that season. And, it's just been all love since then.
We're talking to Oskar Sundqvist in studio here on 101 ESPN. By the way, you'll hear him on the Last Minute Blues podcast later on today as well. You can check that out, youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. So this time around, as you look at your role within the organization, what you can be for this team, how do you view it? When you talked with, whether it was Army, Steen, what your role is going to be heading into training camp, what'd they tell you about it?
It's going to be a different situation, obviously, with all the forwards we have. It is going to be a tight race, I think, and like I talked about it on the podcast too, it's going to be tight, and it's going to be a competition about it, which is very healthy for all the bottom six guys and for the organization and for the players. It's always good when you have that competition to push you. They're going to push me. I'm going to push them to be at your best every practice during training camp to really show who wants the spot.
Could you remember, and you've been through a lot of these training camps with the Blues, can you remember a roster this deep with competition?
I do not think so. No. So that's something new, I feel like. But it's only, like I said, it's only healthy for everyone involved to really push yourself.
How much did that weigh into the decision in terms of coming back to St. Louis? Because I have to imagine the talk was there with Steen and company of there's a chance that American Hockey League could be in front of you. What was your willingness and your mindset on that?
I had good talks with, first Steiner, and then obviously I had a couple of talks with Army about my situation and what can possibly happen. And, obviously I remember talking to Steiner about if going down to Springfield, how would you react? And I told him, I absolutely love Otter. I loved Otter since day one, since he was a coach, and I would play my heart out for him. He's that kind of coach and that kind of guy. You just love playing for him, and you just want to win for him. So that I told Steiner straight up that would not be a problem if that situation comes.
Would it have been different if there was a coach, and I'm not saying anything negative about any other coach, but a coach that was in place at the AHL level for the Blues affiliate that wasn't Steve Ott?
It would have been probably different. I think, you got such a special bond with a guy that what we went through during 2019, and so definitely I think it would have been different if he wasn't there. Yes.
If you look at it too, like you're at that point of your career, you've won a Stanley Cup, you've been a part of multiple Stanley Cup teams. When you look at that roster that they have in Springfield, if you are there in the transition of all of these younger guys, these high draft picks that I'm sure you're very fond of, does that play into it, of that mentorship opportunity to kind of be around those individuals?
Yeah, definitely. It gets a little bit different if you go down there with really trying to help all the young guys. Obviously up here you have guys, a few guys that you're trying to help and push to become like full-time NHLers. Down there it's going to be a lot more, but at the same time that would be an exciting challenge. And like I said, I had really good talks with especially Armstrong about it. No, that would be a new but not new situation, kind of.
All that being said, I think everybody listening right now and us in this room, like, we know what you provide when you're on the ice, and we know what Jim Montgomery emphasizes, and it's that tenacity on the puck, it's that fourth line grit. BK actually asked this in the office, so I'm going to steal your question here real quick.
Go for it.
But just the style of fourth rounders, Oscar, like. Yeah, like what did I say?
Fourth rounders.
Fourth rounders, fourth liners. It's the same thing.
You're stealing my question.
The style of fourth rounders. I shouldn't have stole your question here. Has that changed over the last 3 to 5 years compared to what it was in the past?
A little bit. I think it's a little bit different, but at the same time, you see some of the best teams and their fourth lines how good they are at just that, like getting pucks back and really like. Keeping it in the offensive zone and just like cycling and then crashing the net. The best teams have that fourth line that really is really good at it and is a pain in the ass to play against. So it's changed a little bit. I think it's a little bit more skilled, but it's still kind of the same.
We've seen the Blues go through like multiple different cycles, even in your time here, right? Whether that's the competitive cycles, but also just the way they wanted to play. You guys were big. You were hard to play against whenever you won the Stanley Cup. And there was a little bit of a transition toward more like puck-moving defensemen, smaller, more ability to skate, all those different things. And now we've seen kind of a reversion back to that first style once again. Is that a league-wide trend that you've noticed? Is that something that's more specific to the Blues? How would you view that?
I think it's more specific to the Blues and this style we want to play. I saw a post the other day. I don't know what the average height on our defensemen are.
I think it's like 6'5".
Yeah,
6'5".
I think we had like the same during 2019. The only, if you're gonna quote, short guy with Vince Dunn. But they're so hard to play against when they're that with their reach and that long. And I know like all of our guys can really skate, and that just makes it even harder. So I think for Blues hockey, it's a thing that like we usually play much better when we have big defensemen behind us that can skate and break up plays.
You said it a couple of times, and that's just the league. Like, you can have the size and the physicality, but if you can't skate, because the league is so fast now, it makes a world of difference from maybe 10 years ago when it wasn't that way.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know from playing against Carlo too, he's also he can move out there. So Obviously Parayko and Fowler are very good skaters. So Broberg, obviously.
It's the Swede, so you know he's a great athlete.
Yeah.
That's typically what we go with.
He's
Once
just
there's
a
Swedish.
straight line rocket. So
I like that.
That's the way that I think that your draft profile read. Straight line rocket.
Believe me, when the hair's flowing, you can see the straight line rocket there.
We're talking to Oskar Sundqvist in studio for just another couple of minutes here on 101 ESPN. By the way, if you guys have any questions that you want us to pass along to Oskar, we can get those in on the text line at 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Oskar, what did you think about some of the offseason additions for the team? I'm sure you were kind of looking and seeing what Steiner was able to do in his first offseason the same way we were. And what was your impression of it?
I think it's very impressive. Like we talked a little bit about Carlo, but McTavish and McMichael are two guys that are very hard to play against from what I know playing against them, obviously, and they're skilled. And I said that on the podcast too. Playing against McTavish, I think he's gonna fit in great with the Blues. He's hard to play against, and he's kind of a guy you want to punch in the face sometimes. So I think I think he's gonna fit in perfectly. And obviously haven't seen too much of McMichael. We only played him twice a year, so but the little I've seen from him, obviously a very smart hockey player. So I think it's really good additions that should make this team very exciting.
You feel like this roster is kind of complete in itself, and the job that Alexander Steen has done. I mean, you've seen him for a long time, played with him, and now the general manager. Did you kind of always know that this would have a GM spot for Alex Steen?
Yeah, kind of. When he started telling me about when I played with him, when he was like he told me he could wake up in the middle of the night and he wrote something down on his notebook that he's going to bring up to Army at the end of the season. So, at that point you're kind of like, okay, you're gonna be.
You're going to be my boss sooner or later.
Yeah, exactly. No, obviously he's got so much knowledge about the game, and I think he's going to do great. Obviously his first season now, and he's got great help with Armin and those guys too. So exciting to see what he can do within all these years he's going to be doing this.
Mm-hmm. Alex, do you have any other questions, or I've got some of these from the text line that I want to get to?
I know he's got a pool party to get to. We got to get him out of here.
Well, let's get a couple of these quick hitter style. Oskar, could you see yourself in a front office position at some point whenever you're done playing?
Yes, definitely. I think we talked about it too. Like, would you be a coach? I told him a lot of the coaches are either getting gray hair very fast or losing hair very fast. I think that's too stressful.
You got too good of a flow to do that,
exactly.
Oskar. You can't do that.
But definitely front office, yes.
What did you think of the BMW Championship? Somebody on the text line said they saw you out there.
It was awesome. Great to see all those pro golfers. It's kind of amazing to see them swing a golf club and like how good they are. Doing 18,000 steps was not ideal, but
did you follow anybody specifically around?
I was trying to follow Oberg around. After 9 holes, I was like, they're still going so fast. Like if you stop and talk to someone,
it's crazy.
I was chasing him for 9 holes basically. So I was like, nope, we're not chasing him anymore.
That's it. We're staying in one spot. We're watching the golfers that come here.
Oh yeah.
This one comes from Mahomes Longbody. What's Oscar's thoughts on the city hot streak? I know he's a big fan. Seen him at Energizer Park a number of times.
Yeah, they've been doing really good lately. So exciting to see. Hopefully they keep that streak going. It's so fun going to those games, the atmosphere and how loud it is. So I actually have not been able to go to one this year. So maybe I try to
Perfect time to get one in right in the middle of a hot streak.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what we've got from the text line. Hey, Sonny, thanks so much for coming in, man. This has been great to be able to catch up with you today. We're excited to be able to see you out there at training camp and catch up with you as you try to make this roster once again.
Yeah, bro. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you so much.
You got it. That's Oskar Sundqvist, Blues forward, joining us here on 101 ESPN. Appreciate his time. If you missed any of our conversation, you can check it out on the podcast page. You can also see him over on the Last Minute Blues podcast later on today. Better to Forget It coming up next on BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electricity. They take care of all of it. And now that the temperature's starting to cool off, luckily your HVAC system's not doing all that overwork that it's been doing. And if you've got an older unit before you get into the fall and winter season, now is the perfect time to have Classic Air Care come out. They got something called the maintenance agreement. I've been doing this since 2016. Twice a year they come out, they clean the HVAC system, they check it for you, make sure everything's good to go for the upcoming winter season and the summer seasons. But the best part about it is if an issue pops up because you're a part of that maintenance agreement, you get priority scheduling thanks to the incredible customer service that Classic Air Care provides. They've got 5-star technicians that have been doing this for 30 plus years, and they can help you out with whatever problem you may have. On top of that, the month of August is winding down, which means you still have a chance to nominate somebody for Feel the Love program. It's partnered up with Lennox and Classic Air Care to where you can give a deserving member of our community a brand new heating and cooling system at no cost. You can nominate local hero, military vet, teacher, first responder, or someone who's been always putting people first at classicaircare.com. Again, classicaircare.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. According to Jeff Jones of the Belleville News-Democrat, the Cardinals are expected to place Mason Wynn on the 10-day IL today and expected to recall infielder Nolan Gorman from AAA. Cardinals will be back in action tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Matthew Liberatore expected to get the start for the Cardinals. Chris Bassett will be on the mound for Baltimore. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. Want to pass this along. This comes from Derrick Goold of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch just a little bit ago. Cardinals do indeed intend to place Mason Wynn on the 10-day injured list ahead of today's series opener against the Orioles. Again, that according to Derrick Goold. The move can indeed be backdated to Saturday. That would put Wynn's return date right as September arrives, and the team is able to expand its roster. So keep that in mind. Whenever Mason Wynn is able to return, he could potentially come back without them having to make another roster move. So it's entirely possible the Cardinals basically just got a free 10 days of seeing Nolan Gorman. Because I think there was a chance he was going to be the guy that came up once we got to September 1st anyways on the position player side. So from that perspective, not the end of the world. It is disappointing, though. Mason Wynn going to be on the injured list for at least the next 10 days. According to Derrick Goold, he had exams taken over the last couple of days, and now we see what the results are.
I mean, it sucks to lose him, but I think it's smart. I mean, even if it's something that's just nagging him and he probably could have pushed through it, the Cardinals are like, look, man, we're out of it. 10 days rest isn't a bad thing. You're fine. Come back. It gives us an extra 10 days to watch Gorman. And then now you just get Gorman at third base moving forward. You see it without Mason Wynn. You get 10 days of seeing Weatherholt at shortstop. And then you'll have the infield of Gorman, Wynn, and Weatherholt. Potentially one that you get to see again next year if Gorman can figure his ish out at the major league level.
Not the worst thing in the world. All right, let's get into this. Bet it or forget it on 101 ESPN. FanDuel has some new odds, updated odds on the NL Rookie of the Year, Alex.
Sal Stewart.
It is no longer J.J. Weatherholt as the leader in the clubhouse. It is now Sal Stewart. Now, they're basically a pick'em. It's plus 125 for Sal Stewart. So you bet $100, you can win 125 if you bet on Sal Stewart to win the Rookie of the Year. J.J. Weatherholt is plus 135. So, again, remarkably similar, slightly in favor of Sal Stewart. Bet it or forget it, J.J. Weatherholt still wins NL Rookie of the Year.
Forget it. I think it's Sal Stewart. and it's all about the home runs. I know people get angry with it, but it's 30 home runs. And I don't think if you're J.J. Weatherholt, you're going to get that. I'll be fascinated to see what happens with him where he plays shortstop for a little bit. If defense takes a little bit of a hit, what that does. Because then your argument of defense is gone in that front, too. So
that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think Sal Stewart is going to be your NL Rookie of the Year, and it all comes down to the power.
Yeah, I think I would forget this. I don't think JJ's winning it anymore unless he can get hot again. And if he can over the next month, and he started to take some better swings with that Philly series, then maybe he can get back up there. But I think right now, if the season were to end, I think Sal Stewart will be the guy that would win it.
I'm going to say the same thing. I do think it'll ultimately be Sal Stewart that wins it by offensive wins above replacement. This is not including defense this year. Did you know J.J. Weatherholt is at 3.5 on the season? Offensive wins above replacement. No accounting for what he's done defensively. He has, again, J.J. Weatherholt has been worth 3.5 wins above replacement. Sal Stewart only 2.5 on the offensive side of things. Found that one to be a little interesting because I would have assumed it's mostly defensive value that's coming through there. No, not so much. It's actually just the overall offensive numbers. That includes base running.
I'm guessing base running,
everything else.
There.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Stewart's not a great base stealer, let alone base runner.
Yeah.
Weatherholt's a pretty good base stealer, and when you see him on the bases, does a good job as well at getting that extra base.
Again, my Rookie of the Year knows how to run the bases and play defense, not hit 30-plus home runs.
The other one has 27 homers, 98 RBIs, and 12 stolen bases.
Yeah, whatever. It's a small ballpark.
Yeah, no, that's not it. It's a stadium-friendly ballpark. He couldn't do it elsewhere.
He couldn't hit at Bush.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah, he'd hit the same as Weatherholt at Bush.
I do think this would have been much less of a conversation in the event that we had a better second half from J.J. Weatherholt, who is now batting .205 with a .645 OPS in the second half of the season. Alex?
It's going to seem like an odd question to ask right on the hands of Oskar Sundqvist being on the show, but better to forget it, Oskar Sundqvist does not finish the season within the Blues organization.
I'll say forget it. I think he's here the entire year.
I'd say forget it as well. I could see him being here.
Somewhere.
Somewhere in the organization. I was going to say, if he does make it, Scream's a guy that'll work in the front office as well. So I would say forget it. I think he'd be in the organization.
Here's my thought process. I wonder if somebody claims him.
Via waivers?
Yeah, because he's got to go through waivers when you send him down. And we all know how the roster management goes where the Blues, if you don't want to lose a guy. And I think we all can agree it's tough competition for him to make the roster. He's 32 years old. You're going to probably play a decent amount in training camp and preseason. Teams get a good look at him. The concern, if I'm the Blues, if it's a concern, I don't know if it is or not. It's the chances, and you roll the dice with this. But if he goes through waivers and you're a team that needs some veteran presence and some fourth-line help, Oskar Sundqvist is a guy that you take a chance on at $850,000. That's the only part of me that I'm hesitant on. And then throughout the season, if you call him up with injuries, when you send him down, waivers has to happen. So I kind of wonder if the fight for a roster spot really comes down to him and Dylan Dubé. Because those are the two guys that are going to do waivers. And if you're the Blues and Dubé doesn't just surprise the hell out of you, is Dubé an easier one to get through waivers without being claimed versus an Oskar Sundqvist?
Yeah, I could see that. I just don't know at his age somebody would pick him up though on waivers.
Yep.
I agree.
That would be funny. The only thing that would.
It's so funny though, and I'm not saying you're saying it. That's what people's reaction is. He's 32 years old. His body's like a 42-year-old, but he's 32 years old.
I think this is year 12.
Yeah. I truly wonder, like, if the Chicago Blackhawks finish training camp and they're like, we just need somebody for our depth, I wonder if they look at that and be like, we're going to claim that guy. And that's where I wonder if he gets the advantage over a guy like Dylan Dubé during training camp.
Guys, bet it or forget it. We will see Nathan Church become or be this season a 15 home run hitter for the Cardinals.
You're talking about for the rest of this year, like he will have 15 home runs this year.
Will get to it at some point
and
as a Cardinal.
You said Nathan Church?
Yeah.
I do not think he'll get there this season. He's at 9. He'd have to go on one hell of a tear in the next 30 games.
And they're still going back and forth with he and Ferrario.
I don't think he's going to be a guy that is a consistent enough player in the lineup to be a 15 home run hitter. So I'll say forget it. But if he were to play every day, like if next year he got 162 games in the lineup, I think he could run into that. Or he finishes with 15 home runs. Yeah. I don't think that's crazy.
I think he's going to be a guy that never really plays a whole lot. I think it's going to be him and somebody else until somebody takes that everyday center fielder spot in the Cardinal system. So I'll say forget it. I think he's probably a guy that at best gives you 10 home runs in a season.
See, I would probably bet it for next year because I think he's going to be your starting center fielder next year. Maybe you platoon him with like a Pereira if you bring someone in. I just don't know that there's going to be anybody you can bring in that's going to pull enough at-bats from him. And he'll start most days against right-handed pitching, so I can see where he could run into 15 home runs because he's got decent pop, so I would say bet it.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. From the 636, Bet It or Forget It. Wynn and Weatherholt both win Gold Gloves this year. I think Weatherholt definitely will.
Is the injury for Wynn hurt? Who else is going to take that from him at shortstop?
Swanson's up there, but Swanson's got a bigger injury than Wynn because he's got an oblique, I think.
He might miss like the rest of the regular season, I think.
I would bet that. I think they will. I think JJ's going to win the Gold Glove at second, and then I think Wynn, because he's ideally going to be back before Swanson comes back, should run away with it, in my opinion. So I would bet this.
NL shortstops, if you look at defensive runs saved this year, Wynn's at tied for number one in the National League. It's actually with Mookie Betts, believe it or not. Swanson is at a +5. Wynn is at a +8.
Oh, maybe it was outs above average.
Geraldo Perdomo as well. Outs above average. Fielding run value is one that most people look at now. Swanson's second. Wynn is still number one, though. So, yeah, I do think it'll ultimately be Mason Wynn. And I don't think there's any question about it with J.J. Weatherholt. I think he's absolutely winning Gold Glove at second
How many
base.
other guys do you think win a Gold Glove this year?
For the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think Burley will be in the running. I don't know if he'll win it. There's a new stat I saw that's like
the
picks
scoops
above average or whatever, which I love it.
Did you call it the Scoops?
Yeah, it's Scoops over at first.
It sounds like a podcast website.
Scoops with Danny Mac.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. I was going to say, why does that sound so familiar?
I think he'll be in the running for it, but he'd probably be the only other one.
The catcher position.
Herrera.
Yeah.
I think Matt Olson has been getting those over at first, right? Wasn't he the one?
I thought Burleson was a little bit higher than the one I saw.
I think he'll be top
but
3.
this is typically like a...
Oh, you mean they don't give the Gold Glove to all the analytics?
Yeah, well especially at
glad
first.
they don't.
There have been very few guys that...
Yeah, it's like the Selke Trophy. They just give it to the guy that wins it every year.
I think first base is the hardest position for the analytics to grade out. Because remember, the analytics will say, Goldie, not a good first baseman. And I watch Goldie and go, nah, I don't think so.
Is Walker in the conversation for that? For how many outs he's able to get with that arm?
It's tough in the outfield.
Yeah.
I don't think he's good enough out there right now.
Yeah, I don't think so
Shots fired.
I think he's been I think he's been above average this year, but you got to be excellent to, well, in theory, you have to be excellent to win a Gold Glove. I know Ozuna did, but I don't think he'll be in the running for it this year. Ozuna used to have a can of an arm too.
You just couldn't, identify where the ball was going to go.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. Guys, bet it or forget it. Liam Doyle will reach the big league level at some point by June of next year.
I would say forget it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be I think if there's any lesson we've learned from Heim this year, and I don't know if this is fair or not to say, is they are going to really slow play prospects, and they are going to wait till they think they are absolutely ready to be called up here. Sorry, the bed was ending. I think it's going to be more of like September, mid-August, like Quinn Matthews, before you will see Liam Doyle, even if he's pitching well down at AAA.
Yeah, I think there's other guys that get that call before Liam Doyle. So if you see him, maybe in September next year, but my guess is it's probably going to be the following year at spring training. You'll see him fight for one of those spots.
That's my guess. I do not think that you will see him by June. I think August, September, that's probably when you're really talking about a potential Cooper Jerpy. I think he's on the Quinn Matthews timeline. I think you'll see next year Quinn Matthews, the way that he was approached this year, like as actually getting a real shot in the rotation. I think that's kind of the way that they'll do it with Liam Doyle a year from now.
I think some pitching prospects that might be more of the June call-up category would be more of the Senja,
Tanner
Molina.
Franklin.
I don't even know if he'll be there because he's only in AA now.
Yeah.
I think it's Senja, Molina, Jerpy would be the three that I would circle as pitching prospects that might be June.
I really wonder if Tanner Franklin becomes a bullpen arm by next year.
Whoa, relax. That guy's a stud.
Well, I'm not saying he's not. I just wonder if that's how you get him up to the majors next year. It's not like they don't have a problem with their bullpen.
We're not rushing him, man. That guy might be their best pitching prospect in the system.
I heard from Keith Law he's only got 3 pitches.
Man,
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up in about 10 minutes here on BK and Ferrario, who are the best players in college football this year, and how many of them play for either Illinois or Mizzou? None. Spoiler alert, none on one of those teams. We'll get into that coming up here in about 10 minutes. But next, the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN. From Big Steve over on the text line,
Big
314-399-9646. That's your Comfort Service text line. Said, I do wonder if any of these St. Louis players listen to 101 ESPN. I'd imagine after a good game, I would personally tune in just to feel good afterwards.
We asked Sonny afterwards. He's like, I love BK and Ferrario. It's his favorite show.
We didn't ask that.
That didn't happen.
I can't speak for Oskar Sundqvist specifically, but I know in talking with some of the people around the Cardinals, yes, there are players that absolutely listen to sports radio.
Same.
I think it used to be maybe a little bigger than it is today. I think now a lot of them will get that stuff from social media. But a lot of players, this is a really hard part of coaching, and this is for any sport at any level. A lot of players see all of the stuff on social media, whether they're getting it themselves or their friends or family are sending it to them. They're getting all of that all the time. So the criticism, the love, like they're seeing all of it. And that is something that you have to either guard against for the criticism or, tamp it back down when it comes to the praise if you are a coach in any of these respective sports.
I had a couple of players, former Blues players, that were very intense. Like if they were having a bad game, they'd always turn on the post-game show because they wanted to hear some realistic breakdown. And it wasn't from me. It was more from Curbs and Joey talking about it. But like they said, the first thing we would do is we'd get in the car when we're driving home. You'd listen. And then, after you get about 10 minutes of it, it would be, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And then it would turn to music or a podcast. Yep. Now, that's not all of them, but I think some of those guys are very intense to where they want to know what the criticism is and they want to know what the fan perspective is, and then they want to turn it off because then they're not worried about it anymore.
I remember watching Quarterback last year, I guess it would have been, and Kirk Cousins was listening to the post-game show on his way home from a game. So, yeah, it definitely happens. I don't know if it's quite as much as it used to be because this was one of the only areas that you could get that instant feedback if you were a player previously. It was this in the paper. And now there are just so many other areas that guys can get some of that stuff.
Somebody said, I hear Justin Brule is a big Believe It or Not fan.
Oh,
Nice.
I would bet.
Wonder if he's a big Circle of Trust fan.
He should be now. I tried to get him in the last version of it.
2 people voted
He
that one.
definitely was not a fan of T-Bones from the first month of the season.
That's fair. All right, let's get into the junk drawer.
I heard Nolan Gorman's a big fan of the T-Bone 3 every year.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He should be.
He should sponsor it.
Yeah.
Or you should tell him to stop putting me in that damn thing.
T-Bone 3, brought to you by Nolan Gorman. All right. Have you guys ever had anybody deliver something to you, whether it's like DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever, that was not actually your order? Maybe it was done via mistake, or they get to your house and they're like, hey, this is for you. And you're like, I didn't order anything.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Has that
Especially
happened
in an apartment complex. I had just like a couple weeks ago, a guy knocked on my door. Did you order the extra large pepperoni pizza? I'm like, that sounds good, but no, I'm thinking your apartment D that way.
Idiot. Should have taken it.
What I wanted to ask as a follow-up, if you had accepted it, did they make you pay for it on the spot? Or was it prepaid for?
So it's never happened to me. I have to imagine that those things are typically prepaid for.
I would think so.
Especially
Especially
pizza.
if you're doing Uber Eats and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're paying online.
Maybe not in Poland. Polish police arrested a man following an investigation into an unpaid cash-on-delivery order, which was placed using different people's personal information. One of the orders was for more than to translate this into American dollars, was for more than $10,000, while another requested 300 pizzas from a single restaurant.
How do you, if you're not a pizza restaurant, say, like, this is a hoax?
Investigators say that the alleged harassment went far beyond simply sending people unwanted food, with some orders containing personal information and threats directed at their recipients. That restaurant with the 300 pizza order, they couldn't fulfill said order.
And I'm just saying, if I was running a
Guys now
restaurant
had charges pressed against him,
and I got an order for 300 pizzas, I'd call the number and be like, just wanted to make sure this is true before I make 300 pizzas. I'm not just going to get that order and be like, all right, 300 pizzas, let's get to work.
When they would deliver, they would have like notes from the guy? Is that the way I heard that properly?
I guess. I don't know.
Like, hey, Jim says, here's your extra large pepperoni pizza. He also says you suck, so here you go.
Well, I mean, I typically so I'll order pizza here at the station for a Blues game or something, and I'll typically, when I order it, I put on the notes, hey, when you get to this door, call this number and let me know that you're here. So, like, I'll put notes on there. So, yeah, I think people probably were writing notes on there just saying, like, hey, you suck.
Quick news to pass along. Unfortunately, Dolly Parton has passed away at the age of 80. Dolly Parton, it's being reported multiple different spots.
No.
The famous singer has passed away at the age of 80.
Oh,
Man, brutal.
Honest, I didn't know she was 80.
Yep, 80 years old. Passed away at the age of 80.
God.
Looks like.
Are we sure we're not getting punked?
I'm 100% positive. Yeah, this is coming from multiple different spots now.
Damn.
People Magazine, Variety, Fox News, TMZ, everybody reporting it. Dolly Parton has passed away. Her family has sent out a message from Dolly Parton's Twitter account as well.
Is she sick?
I thought she had something recently, some kind of a diagnosis. Dolly Parton's amazing in that I don't think there is a single person that has a negative outlook on Dolly Parton.
No, incredible.
Regardless of who you are, your background, your, let's be honest, political viewpoints. Like, I think everybody likes Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
She's done basically everything that there is to do. There's literally a place called Dollywood in her image.
Dixie Stampede in Branson.
Absolutely. She started the Dolly Parton book club thing.
My daughter's a part of it.
Luca is a part of that as well. It's got to be like 100% approval rating when it comes to that.
She's what the world should strive to be. Somebody who is just honestly decent, kind, always looking to help the other person. And I mean, I didn't grow up with Dolly Parton. I mean, I learned about her as I got older and the music she did and things like that. But I mean, everything that you've heard about her is just a genuinely kind person. And that is, God, that's heartbreaking.
Yep. Dolly Parton passed away at the age of 80. Again, there are not many people in this world that are as well known as Dolly Parton is that have 100% approval rating, but she was certainly one of the very few. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. We'll get back to our normal shenanigans, talk a little sports next here on 101 ESPN. Jeff Jones just responded to my tweet saying, I think Miles Michael is probably the best option for the Cardinals to sign if they want to go with an external starter
Somebody
this
was
week.
listening to BK and Ferrario.
He said, Littell Zach Littell, probably the guy who makes the most sense given the proximity to having thrown and that they could just pluck him off of waivers and wouldn't have to talk him into signing. He said, I also don't know whether Miles has kept throwing or packed it up and went fishing. Fair question. 100% fair question. Zach Littell is not an overly inspiring option either. If I'm going that direction, man, just go with one of your minor league options. Like, none of them are good. But Zach Littell has shown nothing to suggest that he's going to be better or get deeper into games than any of them. At least with Michaelis. Again, I'm not telling you it's an inspired signing.
I don't know, man. You keep going back
I'm just saying that the guy, even when he gave up 12 hits on August the 6th, he went 5 innings. And I'm telling you, that's the value. I also think it would be kind of cool for him to have one final start in a Cardinals uniform.
Calm down.
What if he had a really great start?
Nah, you trolling, dog.
It's not likely, but it has happened this year.
What are you doing, man? What are you trying to accomplish with this, huh?
I'm trying to make it so that you don't have to cover those innings with somebody else. That's it.
Okay.
It's really, I would rather not see on that day.
That's fine.
I would want a day where Gastelum, Graceffo, Brule, Stanek, Soriano, Riley O'Brien, you're not pitching on this day.
That's fine, but let's not act like it'd be cool to see him one more time.
Why not?
I don't know what's cool about that.
I mean, Miles Michaelis is probably getting into the Cardinals Hall of Fame someday.
I'm skeptical.
Let's not move that time frame back a year.
I'm skeptical on that one.
I think he actually might. I mean,
he's up there on a lot of the Cardinals
like
all-time pitching lists.
I mean, I think we got to put David Eckstein in the Hall of Fame first.
It's a Cardinals fan vote, and I think there's a lot of other people that get voted in before Miles Michaelis.
Probably.
I think we're far down the road before that even is in the conversation.
10 years from now, he's in.
I would put money down with you right now.
I would probably take the money on BK's side.
No, I'd put money down that in 10 years he's not in.
Because, I mean, some of your bigger names will already be in. Wainwright will be in. Pujols, Yachty this year.
Cardinals ain't doing a whole lot of winning between now and then.
George Hendricks will already be in.
I'm with you.
Because I think he's the one
10 years from now,
ballot,
I say no way. I think there's a lot of other people that get in before that.
If you can name more than that, good luck. What he said about them not winning is going to help his case.
Correct.
Which is sad to say.
It's true.
I wouldn't put that. I would ask them not to put that on my plaque at the Hall of Fame. But I think there's a real chance he's in.
Okay, 10 years from now, we'll have this conversation.
I
guess Marv will be in.
I won't be here then.
He's going to be like top 20 in most categories for Cardinals pitchers.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not telling you that this is overly exciting or that he's
why bring him back? We could really ruin a good thing, BK. We could really ruin a good thing by
I would actually. I was about to say I would hurt my own case by him coming back.
Yeah.
By wins above replacement, 44th among all Cardinals pitchers.
It's a flawed stat, man. Nobody cares about WAR.
Wins tied for 34th. You could get one more win.
How many times have people yelled when you bring up wins as a pitcher, and then now we're talking about it?
This is just for Chip Carey. If he gets one more win, he's at 69 for his career.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Chip would love that stat.
I had a 69 in my golf tournament yesterday, so. What I did. It was a nice day.
I did not know where you were
BK
going with
and I
that.
looked at each other wide-eyed like, oh!
I hit a 69 yesterday. It was a great day.
I've never been more fearful of what was about to come out of Alex's mouth.
This is not TMA.
I don't know what the problem is. I hit a 69 yesterday in my golf tournament, and it was a good day.
My heart jumped about 7 beats.
I don't know why, man.
When you started
my
talking,
heart jumped 7 beats when you're acting like Miles is a Cardinals Hall of Famer.
No, he is a Cardinals Hall of Famer.
No, he's not.
I think he's likely to be a Cardinals Hall of Famer. I should put it that way.
Yeah, he's not.
Lance Lynn has 10 fewer wins in his career 10 more wins in his career than Miles Michaelis.
His career as a Cardinal or just career in general?
As a Cardinal.
That's surprising.
Yeah, as a Cardinal.
Lynn will be a Cardinals Hall of Famer, right?
Absolutely.
That one I agree with.
Because I didn't know if he had the time, but I guess he does. Because he was here for, 6 years? Yeah. 7 years, somewhere like that?
Miles Michaelis was good here, man.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
He just sucked in the last few years.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
So bring him back.
I just don't think he's a Cardinals Hall of Famer. Yeah,
give him one more start.
We need one more out of it.
I don't want to. You don't want to ruin
the memories. His memories were pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin the highs of 2025.
Bader should never get in because he ruined that no hitter.
That's true.
Jerk can't even get to the fly ball in center field.
All right, so The Athletic earlier today, hard right turn. The Athletic put together their list of the top 100 players in college football heading into 2026. Now, I appreciate a list like this because I heard TMA talking about it earlier today. They mentioned how August is the absolute worst month for sports talk. So much of that is related to college football right now, where everything you're hearing is people putting together a list of like, hey, who are the best teams in college football? The honest to God answer, none of us know. None of us know. I can barely tell you if Mizzou's going to be good this year. And I actually cover that team and watch and monitor them closely. I have no idea how good Mississippi State or South Carolina or Arkansas, I have no clue how good they're going to be this year. So I don't know how anybody could tell you otherwise. This is a list, though, of the top 100 players in college football. Now, that I can go based upon what I've seen in previous seasons. Who do you guys think they have as the number one player in college football for 2026 over on The Athletic? Nope.
Wow.
He didn't play well at the beginning of the year.
Oh, I guess that's true.
For 2026.
Yeah. Was it Chambliss?
It was not a quarterback, actually.
What's the receiver's name from Ohio State? Jeremiah Smith.
Jeremiah Smith, number one player in college football, according to The Athletic, for the 2026 campaign. Now, I don't think you'll get number two. Leonard Moore, cornerback from Notre Dame.
Yeah, big Leonard Moore fan.
Very good football player. He's at number two. Trinidad Chambliss is at number three. Colin Simmons, the edge rusher for Texas. That guy's a stud. He's at number four. Number five is Malachi Toney.
I think he might be the best player in
He's
college
unbelievable.
This year. He's insane.
Watching him in the college football playoff last year, now, I think Jeremiah Smith is special, and I think he'll probably be a better NFL player because he's huge, he's fast, he has everything you could ask for from a wide receiver, so better NFL prospect potentially. Malachi Toney was the best wide receiver I saw last year.
Agreed.
He was ridiculous. He's a little jitterbug on the field. I don't even know who I can compare him to that I've seen in previous. I guess the closest thing would be honestly, I don't really know how else to say it. He reminds me kind of Tyreek Hill. That's the closest thing that I could think of in terms of a guy that just moves differently than every other player on the football field. And I think he was a freshman last year, wasn't he?
True freshman.
Oof.
That's what makes it scary.
Number 6, Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon. Number 7, Dylan Stewart, the edge rusher out of South Carolina. Alex, I know you're expecting big things out of him this year.
Big D.
Carter Smith is number 8, tackle for Indiana. And then at number 9, C.J. Carr. T-Bone, do you know who he's related to?
Derrick Carr?
Derrick.
No, Lloyd. Lloyd Carr, who T-Bone knows was famously a head coach of?
Wake Forest?
Stanford.
Third time's going to be a charm. You ready?
Vegas Raiders.
No. T-Bone?
Was it a college team?
Yeah.
Illinois.
No.
Lloyd Carr?
Mizzou.
No.
I don't know that.
Played against Illinois.
Kansas.
Was very
Ohio
good here.
State.
No. They play against
Penn
Ohio
State.
State. Kind of a
Michigan.
famous rivalry. Yeah, there you go. There you go, T-Bone. You did it.
T-Bone.
Went 12-0 and won the Rose Bowl back in 1997.
The Rose Bowl when it mattered.
Number 10, Cam Coleman, Texas wide receiver.
I think I know 3 of the names you just named.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I don't know Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman, really? The wide receiver from Auburn?
Jeremiah
transferred
Smith.
to Texas?
Dante Moore.
If he was at Auburn, no.
Okay, touche.
And those defensive players, even that edge rusher, I didn't really recognize.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas didn't even make the playoff.
Malachi
right? You want to
Toney,
catch my attention.
Malachi
I'm not
Toney,
going to
I
watch your
recognize.
freaking Cheez-It Bowl.
You probably know number 11, Darian Minsa.
Yeah, I remember him.
Quarterback for Miami previously with Tulane, and after that,
He made me
Duke.
sweat quite a bit in that Duke-Illinois game.
That was a good one.
I actually, I've seen a lot of people get excited about him at Miami. I think he's going to be maybe a disappointment at Miami. I think if Miami is going to be a team that misses the playoff, it's going to be because of him.
Yeah. Power 4 general manager said he's, quote, the best quarterback in the ACC, hands down. Now, I don't know if that is by virtue of how terrible the ACC is or if it's because it's actually really good.
Watch out for us. We've got the best quarterback in this conference.
I remember, was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. We talked a lot about how, man, there's just no star talent in college football right now. There's just a lack of guys that are returning for another season that we had seen perform at a high level already. This year's the opposite. It's a great year for top-end talent at the collegiate level, especially at quarterback. I mean, on this list alone, you go a little further down, whether it's Darian Minsa, who T-Bone got to see last year against Illinois. Julian Sayin is back at Ohio State for the upcoming season. Drew Mestemaker is getting a Power 5 opportunity. He was at North Texas last year. He followed his head coach to Oklahoma State. He's on this list outside of the top 15. I mean, I can't believe this. How far do you have to go down before you get to
an Illinois player? It's not on the list.
Well, no, there is no Illinois.
Sorry.
Where
Sleeping
is
giant over here in Champaign?
Sleeping something. Their head coach is sleeping.
Are you looking for Arch Manning?
Yeah.
Did he not make the list? I get it.
Oh, 32. Wow.
Yeah, that's
Overrated.
more. See, you and I are on different wavelengths with Arch Manning. You think he's going to be the best guy in college football. I think that's probably more realistic.
If that's real, Texas is in for a disappointment this year.
Yeah.
And Sark's probably
And Sark's
gone.
goner.
Or Nolan Sark could be like, hey, I'm going to the NFL.
Mizzou gets one player on the list in the top 30. Can you name him?
Ahmad Hardy.
That's right. The guy that got shot.
It's not their quarterback.
At number 45, their offensive tackle, Caden Green,
Who's not
future
playing this
potential
year.
top 50 overall selection in the NFL draft.
he
Those
the
are
one
the
that got
two. At number 50, no, he's playing.
I was saying, I thought he was
I thought the
playing.
right tackle was the one that got hurt.
He is. This is the
isn't
left
he?
tackle.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought Caden Green was your right tackle.
No, left tackle still has
I
been there
thought
for
I
the last
missed
2
I
years.
thought it was the right
Like,
tackle.
whoa, a lot changed in the 3 days I was out of town.
Damon Wilson, the former Mizzou edge rusher, comes in at number 47 on this list. Gonna miss you, Damon.
Where'd he go,
Gonna
Miami?
miss you.
Where'd he go, Miami?
Indeed. Somebody on the just texted me.
Why'd you look at me
Indeed.
like...
He wasn't listening.
I was going to say, he looked at me like I said something wrong.
He wasn't listening.
Guy I used to work with in Kansas City named Todd Palmer.
Sup, Todd?
Texted me.
Todd.
I had people just call me texting to confirm that a grade card was a real thing.
All right, we're stretching out to Casey.
He works for a TV station in Kansas City.
That's
People
amazing.
listening to our show called Todd to say, hey, is this a real thing?
Unbelievable. And he confirmed that y'all are
It's a real thing.
Y'all are crazy out there in KC. And only
Amazing.
I
apparently.
can't imagine answering the phone to that be what the call's
I'm working on this big
you
package for
imagine?
news, and then all of a sudden it's like, what? Grade card? Who is
Somebody
this?
calls you and they're like, hey, I was listening to the radio today. I got to know, is a grade card a real thing in Kansas City? You'd be like, I mean, yeah, but what?
I'm
Why do
surprised
you
the
care?
follow-up to that was, and also, how do you say crayon?
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. By the way, Illinois, 0 players in top 100.
Zero.
Derrick Goold, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about something big that is coming. On September 2nd, DraftKings Game Day arrives with massive deals, exclusive offers, and all-day celebration built for sports fans. So mark the date, September 2nd. DraftKings Game Day is the kickoff of a new season, a new era, and the biggest day in sports history. Whatever you're betting, DraftKings Game Day has deals dropping all day long. One app, every sport. DraftKings Game Day is yours. So sign up with DraftKings today with code Tanner and get ready to celebrate the biggest day of the season. New DraftKings customers sign up with my code Tanner, spend $5 to get $200 in bonus bets within 21 days. That's code Tanner in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 in non-withdrawable bonus bets issued every 7 days via click-to-claim for 21 days. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promo. Limited time offer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Derrick Goold, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, will join us momentarily. You can check us out on YouTube as always. Derrick will join us there at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. For those that missed it, Derrick's latest reporting is up right now at STLtoday.com. Cardinals expected to place Mason Wynn on the injured list after he had his hand examined over the last 24 hours. They are expected to recall Nolan Gorman from AAA. Before we get Derrick on the line, Alex, your thoughts on Nolan Gorman's return are what?
I'm curious. I'm Gorman curious here. And I've said all season, I don't need to see it anymore. You sent him down. I'm done with it. And I still feel that way. But the curiosity factor is just what Heimblum had told us. And honestly, the returns that they've gotten for a lot of guys that they have worked with in the minor leagues, whether it was Jordan Walker over the offseason, whether it's been guys like Blaze Jordan this year, Joshua Baez over the last couple of years. The Cardinals obviously have had success in terms of working with guys' swings when they go down into the minors, and I trust their staff. Just give me a little bit of a sample size to know if this is done. Because if Gorman comes back up and he's still the same guy, still striking out, still not making contact, still not hitting home runs, then I know, okay, the Heim experience didn't work for the guy in the minor leagues. But if this does work out, then that's where the opening of the Cardinals being able to work with these guys and have success. So I'm just curious of what it's going to look like. I fully believe that at the end of this season, I'm going to be saying, you did it, we're done, move on from them. But there's that slight hope that you get a Jordan Walker renaissance of a guy like Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, it's a small hope. It's unlikely. I don't think that he's necessarily going to be able to prove that in 30 days, but it's more likely than if he's down at AAA.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen at this point how little translates from the AAA level to the major league level. Joshua Baez was amazing down there.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Baez, since coming up, has gone through some struggles.
Jimmy Crooks was amazing down there.
Absolutely. Great one. That's a great call because he was hitting for power. He was hitting for average. He was doing everything. And since coming up here, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So what does it look like for Nolan Gorman? Does it look more like it did previously, or is it better this time around? We'll talk about that and so much more with Derrick Goold, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, as he joins us via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Derrick joins us each and every Tuesday on BK and Ferrario. Derrick, appreciate the time as always, man. We were just talking about your latest reporting, which fans can find and read it in its entirety over at STLtoday.com. Cardinals expected to place Mason Wynn on the injured list as Nolan Gorman is expected to get the call up from AAA. For fans that have not read the piece yet, what kind of reporting can you provide for us on the latest with Mason and what this recall is going to mean for Nolan Gorman?
Yeah, those are great questions. Right now, if Mason Wynn, he went through the battery of exams, which was covered over the weekend and probably discussed a lot yesterday. He had those scans taken of his left thumb, which he jammed back more than back in Cincinnati during that really rigorous series there. Wasn't available in Philly to hit, was available to pinch run field if needed. But what they found there was that the absence is going to be longer than they wanted to go and play shorthanded, which they'd done now for multiple days really because he couldn't swing a bat. So they're optimistic that he's going to return. So this isn't like a season-ending thing currently, which is probably a bit of a relief. But it's a longer than a week thing. It's not a back Tuesday against the Orioles thing. So they needed somebody. On the choice here is interesting. I'm eager to hear their explanation, which they haven't provided yet. They haven't made the move final yet. But you're talking about now J.J. Weatherholt being the shortstop because Sajaysi's not the move. Gorman is the move. And it sure seems like this is going to give him a look at third base, particularly against right-handed pitching, which is probably part of this, where he can get a stretch. But his production down there has been mercurial. It's been a bit, it's been really anchored down by a really poor start down there as he tried to work through things. He had 21 strikeouts in his first 41 at-bats there and only 5 hits. He really still has more walks down there than hits. So you can kind of see how he's being pitched, where it's somewhat of a forced 3 true outcome approach, right? I mean, it's just not many pitches in the zone. He's swinging and missing still. And when he does connect, it goes for a home run. I mean, he's got 7 home runs in his last 63 at-bats. but he also has 28 strikeouts in that stretch, and 10, 11, maybe 12 walks, I think it is. So you can kind of see that the work there is showing some results, but not like a radical change from what he was doing at his best in the majors.
So, Derrick, we just talked about it in the open, to where it's like, look, I feel like I know what Nolan Gorman is, and there's no hope of getting excited for it, but there's that slight chance of, they've had success working with guys in the minor leagues before. Maybe they did figure something out with Nolan Gorman, and he can go back to being what we all thought he could be for the Cardinals. Am I crazy thinking that?
No, I think he'll come back less vulnerable to a certain type of approach. I think that's something that, you do hear, that how he's doing, what he's approaching, sort of what his thought process is at the plate and what he's trying to close. And I think that's the thing to hold on to. And that's also like kind of what we've seen these other guys do first, is just be less vulnerable to one way to get you out. Probably the most famous example of that over the last few years has been Jordan Walker, who, teams, we all watched it. We could watch teams specifically go about ways to getting him out, that he had a hole in his swing, a hole in his approach and eagerness, however you wanted to look at that, that there were pitches that he was just going to chase after and he was not going to hit, and teams were going to just continue to do that until he proved otherwise. He proved otherwise. Gorman is going to come up less vulnerable to that stuff. He still has to show that he can hit through it, but he's not going to be as susceptible to that. Does that mean taking walks? It certainly has been part of his game down there, not going outside the strike zone. But what does it mean at the majors, where so many outs are in the strike zone? That's going to be the real challenge. So less vulnerable to ways that he gets himself out, but still in a league where pitchers are able to get batters out in the zone, and that'll be a real challenge.
Is it your belief, Derrick, that he's going to get some real runway here? Like, do you think over the next couple of days, they're going up against two righties, we see Nolan Gorman in the lineup?
I mean, I will know more. Certainly, this is just speculation on my part. I haven't had somebody tell me that. But, I mean, look, we can all connect the dots there. You got the left-handed bat, right-handed pitchers coming. A thought of, you got to get him up here at some point in time. He likely was going to be the additional guy for, September, or at least he was definitely in the discussion for that when rosters expand. This would just start that a week early, because you got the fact that Wynn will be back likely as rosters expand, right? So you can kind of look at it that way. They got to find out what he's like. They got to find out what he can do at this level. And there's this opportunity now. They clearly are comfortable with their shortstop situation. Fermin's part of that. Urias is maybe part of that. But JJ handling it is definitely part of that. So that to me kind of speaks exactly what you're talking about, is like he's going to get this playing time, because otherwise they would have had Sajaci come up and just be there as insurance.
And you kind of answered it there, Derrick, but just as a follow-up with it, is that kind of the position that they're in right now after that Phillies series of, look, now we really get a chance to see what some of these guys are and kind of write out any questions that we may have going into the offseason of what does Gorman look like? Can Weatherholt play the shortstop position? What do some of these other guys look like as utility pieces for us?
It's a great question, and no one really likes the answer, because I can tell how many people have refused it, but that's been the case all along. The Phillies series didn't change their goals this season. Didn't change what they set out to do. It wasn't like they came out of Cincinnati beating their chest going, we're contenders now, look out the Brewers. They came out of there saying the same thing that they've been saying since October. Their focus is elsewhere than this season. If they happen into the wild card, then it will be events around them and the strength of their performance. I mean, look, kudos to what they've done this season. What you look at any of the projections at the start of the year, and none of them had them at 66 wins. They got a whole month to go, and they're at 66 wins. I remember there were conversations about, could this be a 100-loss Cardinal team? Well, it won't be. It won't come close. And that doesn't mean that all of a sudden, they thought that they took 2 or 3 from Wrigley, or there at Wrigley, got Joshua Baez going. They outlast the Reds a few times, and now they're like, all right, bring on the wild card. And then the Phillies gave them a smackdown and said, no, go back to your rebuild. The Cardinals were always in a rebuild. The Phillies didn't tell them anything they didn't already know. And I know that, like, there's been this reaction, certainly on social media, that, like, oh, well, now the Cardinals should tank and play for the draft pick. I mean, this is like, if you weren't paying attention to the trade deadline, they kind of were already. Like, I mean, the players don't want to hear it. They're not playing like it. You know, Alex
Mason said it. Mason just came out and said it at the deadline, where he was like, "Hey, listen, I don't know that there's anything we could have done that would change their plans." It's like, yeah, no, that's probably true.
Yeah, they all said it. Yeah, you're right. Mason put it, like, articulated it best, I think, in talking with Jeff Jones. But other players were saying that as well. Burris and I talked to him, and he was like, "Well, we'll just have to, like, keep trying to do what we can with the best we have."
Well,
Dustin May was like, "I'd like to be around to help him, but hey, I get it." Like,
I signed here for a reason. We all knew what this was going to be, and hey, this is what it is.
They told me up front, you're probably going to get moved.
His contract was written to be traded. Like, from the day we knew what it was, could not stress that enough. So, I hear what you're saying. I don't see this. I've been trying to do TikTok, gentlemen. We'll see how well it goes.
Nice.
But I know. But,
you doing the dances, Derek?
No, I did that during the pandemic when Andy Rogers, the former, that was one of my last dancing days. That's over with.
You did that with the commish. I remember he was in on
the late commish. Yeah, it was because he agreed. We were all stuck there. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if we were going home. We didn't know if we should pack up or to stay, whatever. But when Rick said, "I'm going to do the dance," we were like, "Oh, well, I guess we all have to." If a Hall of Fame writer says dance, you dance.
That's
you
right.
say what step, and if he says foxtrot, you said let's go.
Let's do it.
But the Phillies didn't really create some change in the Cardinals' overall goals this season. What it did was they are a changed team because injuries and availability has forced it upon them.
I mean, you look at Sunday, like, boy, you're in I don't want to call it a must-win game, but a pretty important game if you want to look at the wild card standings. And Kyle Leahy, after 63 pitches, was out of the game because that was their plan, right? Like, they've been forecasting this for weeks, if not months, that they were eventually going to get to this spot. They're here. He throws 63 pitches, and he's out of the game, and they go to their high-leverage relievers for the remainder of said game, and they found a way to lose.
Yep. And they got a 4-0 lead going into the ninth inning, and they don't put Mason Wynn out there for defense because they're thinking that he's going to go on the IL, right? I mean, there's a lot. You nailed it. That's exactly right. Their priorities are different. Their performance has outperformed that. That's not the right sentence. Let's try that again.
Take two.
Is there a delete button on radio?
Absolutely. We just say take two, and then whatever happened beforehand never happened.
We just call ourselves dumb too and do it. We're like, we're
all right. I can control cut that there on articles, but their performance has really outpaced what their priorities are. Like, there's no other way to say that. And the players and the coaching staff deserve a lot of credit for what they've done in the standings beyond what they were, tasked with doing this season. I mean, you think about all that they traded and cut, all the payroll they slashed, all the playing time that they've given to guys new in roles or younger, whatever. You think about all of that, and I don't think anybody today would say last year's team was better than this year's team. And yet, and they are better this year. And that speaks a lot to the performance of the players and the coaching staff and what they were due to go beyond what projections and even what internal priorities were.
Derrick Goold joining us here on 101 ESPN. So, Derrick, now as you project forward, boy, is this rotation in a rough spot, man. I know you've talked about this over the years where you've said innings. Where are they coming from? And, Derrick, where are they coming from? Like, I genuinely do not have the answer, and maybe the team doesn't either, but where do you think they can come from?
I mean, Caleb Ferguson, Justin Brule.
What about starting innings? Do they have any of those?
My bad. I thought we were talking about those.
It's the same thing, right? I think he was defining where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, they have a real challenge on their hands. The schedule does give them a little bit of a breather. They have a couple off days here before then the long slog to the West Coast. So you can kind of watch. Then they're going to talk about it. Yesterday they were talking about it, and they're trying to figure out as Kyle Leahy's next start comes up. That's sort of when the rubber meets the road for them, or when the open start, unless they use the off day to reduce to cover like the Dobbins start. Right? There's a lot of different ways they could go, but I think you're gonna, one of the things that they're looking at is the matchups. Right? What could they do bullpen wise? What could they do matchup wise? What could they do piggyback wise? Jerpy would be a part of that discussion. Your favorite lefty, Bryson Motts, would be part of that discussion. What could they do to throw a different look at teams before, that maybe carve up a start? They're going to have to do the innings by committee. That's not ideal for a contender. It's just not. But again, we're back to that same conversation. That's not their priority. So they're going to have to kind of get through with what they got, and they'll get creative. And they can do that more often while they're in this rebuild, retooling mode, looking towards the future. If they were to try to pull this off in the crucible of a division or wild card race where they're actively selling fans on the idea that they're trying to make the playoffs, the criticism would be high and warranted.
Can you imagine two more different looks, Alex, than Cooper Jerpy opening up a game to go into a Miles Michaelis midday matinee?
I was going to ask about Miles Michaelis, and I just assumed Jerpy over here needs to get his questions in, because, Derek, if you could have seen the face that he just had right there, he was just told that he got a brand new puppy or something like that.
I mean, I'm looking at
BK.
Me.
He loves Jerpy and Miles, so that's what he wants both right now.
There's Zach Littell out there. There's Herman Marquette. The options are not good, Derek. If you're looking for exterior moves, guys that are coming from the outside, it's not pretty out there. Do you think there would be any appetite to do a homecoming with Miles Michaelis for like a spot start? Hey, go throw 100 pitches, see what it looks like?
As of Sunday, when I was asking around about that, the answer was nope.
Okay. Is the answer different on a Tuesday when they've noted some of their alternatives?
I would imagine for how quick that nope was, I'd say it hasn't changed.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty strong nope, and they were saying that they would get creative first.
Okay. Do you want to go cry in the hall?
Though, yeah,
BK's upset, Derek.
I'll ask again on your behalf. I was not with the team yesterday. I know that, on the off day, and wasn't getting a whole lot of responses yesterday.
Busch Stadium, but nobody else was there.
Well, Jason Mott, the great Jason Mott, was there.
He was.
That's kind of par for the course with you, though, BK.
That's right.
Fred Bird. I was doing the patriotic thing and wandering around Philadelphia for the 250th. Just
nice.
Because I could. Yeah.
Did you go run the Rocky steps, Derek?
I did. I did.
Yes. My guy.
I did. I did.
My wife wants to take me there solely because she wants me to get to run up the stairs at the Rocky. I'm wearing my robe. I got an Italian stallion robe. I will run up it with it.
They put the statue back up on top of the stairs. I don't know. You guys know the whole drama of that. But they returned the Rocky statue to the top of the stairs, so you can go up there, have your photo taken with it, and then look out over it's a really cool view of the city down the boulevard and then out there. But where the Rocky statue was, for folks who visited when it wasn't on top of the stairs, they've put a Joe Frazier statue, which is awesome. It's really cool to see. Yeah, I did not know until the Uber driver said, "Are you going to the Joe Frazier statue?" And I was like, without skipping a beat, "Absolutely, sir. Where is this?"
I would have reacted, said, "No, I want the Rocky statue." But now that there's a Joe Frazier one,
at the risk of ruining this conversation and putting it to an abrupt end,
we're done with the Cardinals talk. We're talking this
back
now.
to the Cardinals. Yeah.
Boo.
I do want to ask one quick follow up on you said Cooper Jerpy. You've got me interested.
Yeah.
He's Jerpy curious.
What do you think this looks like, Derek? Like if they were to go that direction, because that would have to be very regimented in terms of how he is utilized, because that's been the way that they've used him down in the minors. And there are also not 40-man considerations, but, kind of 40-man considerations, because so many of the options to send down, for lack of a better term, do not have options right now. So how does this roster manipulation potentially look over the next week or two, Derrick, as they try to get through all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, again, kind of where they have to look through it as through the lens of their priorities, right? If they're going to make a move and they got to do something for the starting pitching. Right. Let's say they do the jerpy route and get creative with it, right? Well, then you're saying, okay, we're going to have him under certain constraints, somewhat of an opener style or a piggyback style for sure. What does that look like for the makeup of the bullpen? And to your point, what does that mean for the makeup of the roster? And at some point in time, and we've seen this over the past week, I mean, it was like a tough day for former Cardinals the other day, right? You had John King and Chris Roycroft DFA'd on the same day. That's the nature of this month for the next couple of weeks for sure. And you would see that similar kind of move for the Cardinals. They would be like, all right, well, what of this group isn't part of the future, and move on from them if they don't have options. And we've seen, they've signed Fleming over the past week, right? He started the other day for AAA. So they have created that, or they have started to create and really added some necessary spots to create that depth as if to lose guys from the major league roster and then have replacements on hand to move up as they churn through. So you can kind of see the structure of their strategy, right? They're sort of creating phalanxes of pitchers to replace the ones that they're going to have to move off the roster and may not be able to keep.
Sure. And maybe some of those other guys that you just mentioned, like John King, maybe you claim that guy or you sign that guy later on, and he gives you 3 innings, and then you DFA them and then get the next guy. Like it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks.
Find a way to get through the next 30 days.
Welcome to the carousel, to the Calliope.
Derrick, we'll get you out of here on this one. Yesterday, I was talking with T-Bone about this, and he brought up Ivan Herrera as the guy that's maybe most under the microscope for the rest of the season, just because it's almost been 2 very different seasons for him. One in which he was one of the best hitters in the sport, and another in which he's just really struggled to find his swing. Whether it's him or somebody else, who would you say is kind of under that microscope over the next 5+ weeks as we get toward the end of the regular season here?
Boy, it's a great kind of description of Herrera's season, which includes an all-star appearance too. So a forever mark on his Baseball Reference page. I mean, it's really well stated the way you kind of presented that. I don't think that the microscope gets any more targeted than if Gorman's here. I mean, you're talking about a guy who is arbitration eligible. You're talking about a team that has made some payroll decisions to reduce payroll. You got a team that really wants to protect its assets and maximize those assets. I think if Gorman gets a long look here, and I also think that maybe the catching position, maybe we can widen the lens a little bit of that microscope to say the catching position. So not just Herrera, but you got Pajes and Jimmy Crooks. Part of, and we've had this discussion, certainly had it in the press box, but part of going into a season to say that at the end of it, they need answers. Not all answers are positive. And I think that somewhat the catching position has not provided the answers that they wanted. Herrera's remained healthy, but has he improved enough? Certainly calling games he has, but patrolling the run game, that's a real open question. That arm, all of it, right? Is he gonna hit enough to compensate for that? Or is he gonna hit enough to be the DH and not have them turn around? So I think you have this series of questions, no more so than Gorman. Mainly, I would put him at the top of the list because of the dollars, right, you're discussing. Going into a lockout, it's sure, if you're going to non-tender him and just walk away from him after being a first-round pick, after having all this money invested in him, that seems off. But you certainly want to know what you have there, and if it's worth tendering an offer, knowing what that might cost you, and knowing that you go into next spring, whenever next spring is, still unsure about what third base is. And I think you could say a similar thing, though, at a lower cost for catching. What are they going to do? I mean, they'll certainly explore trades for Pedro Pajes. He'll get attention from teams, and that would clear up a spot for then Bernal. But then are you required to carry 3 catchers next season as well because of Ivan Herrera? Or is it just time to commit so that you can get something else for that spot on the roster? That's a luxury that the Cardinals have had in 2026 that I just think a contending team doesn't have.
It's a really good point, and those are names that we brought up during that segment as well. I also threw Nathan Church into the mix as one of the guys. I'm really curious to see what it looks like over the next few weeks. He's had a pretty good month of August so far at the plate. Hey, Derrick, It's always great to be able to catch up, man. Thank you so much for your insight, especially on the injury side of things. I know there's a lot that we just don't know yet, but you've provided some clarity, especially as it pertains to some of their pitching depth and the plans that could lie ahead, and we appreciate that as always.
Yeah, you bet. I'm happy to do so, and I think we'll have more as certainly as the day and the next 2 days unfold. It's hard. You ask good questions. Sometimes it's hard to give you an answer when the team itself doesn't yet have an answer.
No doubt.
But we can certainly kick through the ideas that they're discussing in real time, and that's what's happening.
Yeah. Just remember, Derrick, today at the ballpark, BK specifically wants to know about Miles Michaelis. BK,
I'll get a text
Miles
from
Michaelis.
the manager saying, stop asking.
I know Hines going to text you, be like, knock it off.
Derrick, appreciate
Should that be the last question I ask? Because it will be the last question I get answered.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I would recommend yes.
If you need more information, yes, make that the last one you ask.
Sounds good, guys. I can do
Thanks,
that.
Derrick.
That's Derrick Goold joining us as he does each and every Tuesday here on BK and Ferrario. Follow him on Twitter at DGould, also on TikTok as well. And be sure to follow all of his great work where he gets paid over at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, stltoday.com. That's where you'll find all of his updated reporting throughout the day today. We'll hit the rewind next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK for my friends over at Victory Men's Health. It is time for you to unlock your inner champion, and the place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. If they can do it for me, they can sure as heck do it for you as well. Whether it's low testosterone symptoms that you've been feeling, maybe your workouts aren't quite giving you the same results, you don't feel as energized throughout the day, you just feel a little bit moody. It could be low testosterone. They can check those levels for you over at Victory Men's Health. They can also tell you about their red light therapy programs, cardiovascular testing. They can do some cancer screenings over there as well. They've got all kinds of different things. They're going to unlock your inner champion at Victory Men's Health. Weight loss goals, sexual health, they can help you out with that as well. Get started today by going to their website, victorymenshealth.com. When you get there, put in your name, email, phone number. Tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you. Tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion, and they will get started with that first appointment as soon as you possibly can. That initial visit will include a consultation with a licensed medical provider. Once they get back some of that lab work, they're going to put together the personalized plan for you. They can do it for me. They can do it for you. It's Victory Men's Health. Unlock your inner champion today at victorymenshealth.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals back in action tonight, 6:45 first pitch as they start a 3-game set with the Baltimore Orioles. Chris Bass will be on the mound for Baltimore. Matthew Liberatore gets the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
We're pulling a TMA. We got to get out of here. If you guys missed anything from the show, check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com. The free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Appreciate Alex. Appreciate T-Bone. Appreciate Derrick for joining us earlier today. Appreciate Oskar Sundqvist for joining us as well. You can find all of those on the podcast page now. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Fastlane next here on 101 ESPN.